Yo, what is good? It is Threadguy, and we're live here in Bucharest, Romania with a very special guest. We got Andrew Tate, aka the Top G, on the podcast. Andrew, why did you come on this podcast?
Well, I thought it would be nice to introduce myself to the crypto world. Of course, they already know who I am.
Of course.
There's some people who convinced me it was a good idea. There's some people who said you should talk to him. Yeah. I said I'm very busy.
So I have people.
I'm not sure I should.
Yeah.
But here I am. Then I was shown all of your stupid tweets, and then I saw you retweet more stupid things. And then I'll be honest with you, I got my impression that I built of you in my head is that you're just a kid who doesn't really understand the world very well.
What do you think now? You don't really know me yet. I'll re-ask it at the end.
And then I thought, well, he's already here. I'll go talk to him. If he annoys me, I'll just leave. So here I am.
Well, I appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
I'll say this. You have a very respectful team, and you were very respectful of me too.
I think you should go through life with respect.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest problems we have in the world today is too many people have just become comfortable with being idiots. You talked about rage bait.
Yeah.
99% of streamers are idiots. They're running around insulting and abusing and pranking innocent people and playing stupid games and insulting people they don't know. I don't find any of that funny. I don't think any of that's appealing in any way. When I see these idiot streamers running up to innocent people and scaring them or insulting other people they barely know for views or all of these kind of things, I think it's extremely infantile. And I think that not too long ago in the world, it would get you hurt. And I go through the world with respect as much as possible. I try not to disrespect people because I understand where I'm from. If you disrespect people, real bad things can happen. So I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit on Twitter and just insult random people. I think that's stupid. Even if they can't find me, even if they can't get to me, even if they don't have the capability, I think God himself is watching. And I don't think God likes people who do that kind of thing. I think that you pay the price one way or another if you're going to go through life and be that kind of person. You should be respectful to everybody. I'd be respectful right up to the point I hit somebody in the face. Why wouldn't I be? That's just how I am as a person. So I think being respectful is extremely important. I think it's what the world is missing. I think it's especially what the crypto community is missing.
Interesting.
I think the entire world is missing respect. I think there's a lot of people with a few followers and a big mouth who perhaps because they live in a failed state like California and they live in a failed city like LA, they just go through life and they do a bit of drugs and their friends do a bit of drugs.
I don't do drugs.
Everyone just talks constant shit and nobody has any honor or respect anymore. And there's crack addicts everywhere and houses get robbed and rappers get shot and nothing matters. You just run your mouth, right? But if you live in other areas of the world, if you lived in Moscow or Bucharest and you were the kind of person to just talk shit on Twitter, you'd pay the price for that. You have to be a lot more careful in other places in the world.
I mean, maybe if you want me to stay in Bucharest, I could stay a little bit.
You're not invited to stay.
Let me, you know what my favorite term of yours is? It's karmic repercussions. We've been saying that all week.
Karmic retribution.
Karmic retribution. See, maybe it's not my favorite.
Repercussions works.
It works. It's just.
I just like retribution more.
You could fill it in there.
Yeah.
Should we get the coffee?
Yeah, let's get coffee. Why not?
Let me grab it. I'll grab it for you. We'll put it on hold real quick. It's hot.
Should be. Thanks, friend. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Be careful.
Thank you.
I'll keep them
Poisoned?
No, I hope not.
Well,
I'll drink it first if you want.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
I'm hard to kill.
What's the closest anyone's ever got to killing you? Is that a weird question?
That is a bit of a weird question. I'm not sure how to answer it. I mean, if somebody was competent, I wouldn't know they were close to killing me until I was dead, right?
Have you had a sip of the coffee yet?
Exactly. So you have to consider these things. And you have to be paranoid and you have to always think in advance, right? If I were to walk into a room and somebody were to give me $1 million briefcase, I would instantly be worried for my life. Perhaps if you walked in a room and they give you $1 million briefcase, you'd say, yay, and you'd tweet about it and just walk out to your car like a dummy. That's how you get killed. I'd take the briefcase and I'd look around and see who else is in the room. And then I'd consider, can I get to my car alive? That's the life I've lived, right? We're all a product of the life we've lived. So perhaps people have come close. I have had incidents. Yeah. I do carry scars. My finger came off from a knife here. You can see.
How did that happen?
They sewed back on.
They sewed your finger back on?
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, I see it. How did that happen?
It's a long story, but I got into an argument with a guy and I have to be careful what I say. And I've never told this story online before. And I'm not going to give any much more detail. But he didn't threaten me. He just stopped replying. And then it was about a week later when I was walking through a car park.
Really?
Yeah. That's how the real world works. All this big talk tough and tweets and internet tough guy, all this shit is not real. No, because intent in and of itself can be hindered by your own mouth, right? If you have genuine intention, the last thing you're gonna do is destroy the element of surprise. If my intention was to genuinely hurt you, I would never sit here and say I'm gonna hurt you. I'd come to a podcast.
You don't have to get into details. I won't press details, but you got an argument with this guy. Who started the argument? You started it? That's a detail. You don't have to answer that.
It was a disagreement.
It was disagreement.
Yeah.
Whose fault was it?
I don't think the world really works in faults. I don't think it works in black and white. It's often varying shades of gray.
Okay.
There's no good team in this American infantile idea of good and bad. The fact you live in LA, there's a good guy, there's a bad guy, there's a superhero, there's an evil person who's just trying to conquer the world for no reason and enslave everybody for his ego. And there's a good guy who wants to risk his life to defend. That's not how the world works. Every single war, every single conflict, there's two sides and there's two opposing viewpoints. And some of them are part right and part wrong, which makes the world such an evil place. If it was truthfully good and evil, it'd be far easier to discern which team to be on. But often it's varying shades of gray. Someone is right about a certain element and someone's right about another certain element. And this is why there's such a large disagreement, whether it's a relationship or whether it's a war or whether it's a debt or money or an argument with some guy. This is how it works. It's very often you don't have rights and wrongs.
Okay.
But then you go deeper down the thing. Then what's right and what's wrong?
Okay, what is right and what's wrong?
Right and wrong is capability because the victor is always right. The winner is always right.
Is that true?
Well, of course it is, because all of our narratives we hold are based on the winner writing the history books. Right? We decided who the good guy was because the good guy won the war. A bad guy's never won a war. Well, that's because they're both bad and they're both good. And whoever wins just paints the pictures like they were the good guy and the other person was the bad guy because their narrative reigns supreme. So really good guys always win war. So then you say, well, who's right and who's wrong? If he would have killed me, he would have been right. But he didn't. But this is the reality of the world. The reality of the world is the capability for violence. And this is what makes you right. The reason the American empire gets to be right globally around the world, the reason they get to decide what happens on certain issues, the reason they get to choose political leaders for other countries and start wars and end them in a whim is because they can destroy everything. Because they have the capability for violence, that makes them right. Nothing else matters.
But if he killed you, but then went to prison, got the death sentence, wouldn't you kind of be painted as right?
Well, he wouldn't get the death sentence.
Right and weak?
He wouldn't get the death sentence in the UK. And I don't think I would be painted as right. Perhaps the world we live in, we often say we see the world as we see ourselves, right? So what you just said is very telling. You're saying that if I was murdered, I would be seen as right. Because what you're thinking is that if someone murdered me, people would have sympathy for me and I'd be seen as correct and right, potentially. Whereas I see things the other way.
Okay. I
see the world the way I see myself. And if I got murdered, I'd be seen as wrong. He would tell everybody there was a disagreement over X amount of money. He had to go and now he's gone. And everyone would agree with him. Well, he should have paid you then or whatever. So it's your view is based on your position and yourself and your mind. In my world experience, I think that if you lose, nobody really has sympathy for you and nobody thinks you're right. I think if you lose, you just lost. And the person who wins gets to paint the narrative ultimately and completely. That's how I think the world works. He would have been absolutely right if I bled to death. Then he would be right.
Just to finish it, I'll stop asking about it. You have a disagreement. The guy stopped texting you back. You think you're all fine and dandy.
I didn't think it was fine. I never thought it was fine.
But
he didn't threaten me.
But he didn't threaten you. So you kind of just like felt weird, like had like a weird vibe. Like
I understand the world.
Okay.
But I have to live my life.
And so you're like in a parking garage kind of thing, alone. It's nighttime, I'm assuming.
Yep.
You're alone. You're walking to your car. And what happens? Some like big dude just like approaches you with a knife or like catches you off guard. You open your car. He's in the passenger seat. Like what was the vibe?
Well, this incident was never formally reported, and I need to be careful how I answer these questions. Valid. But I carry the scar, and I think you can work it out.
No, it's okay. It's hard to miss the scar.
Yeah, you can do the rest of the math yourself. Yeah. But I didn't die.
Okay.
So he wasn't correct. If I had died, I would have been wrong.
I appreciate you sharing that with me. Let me ask you this: how much of like Andrew's actual life do you share on these podcast interviews versus what percentage of like your best stories do you think you've shared?
Half, maybe.
Half. We're going to get that to 51 today. But all right, here's a real one for you. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We'll get into it, I promise. I'm a little scattered. I get all over the place a little bit. Let me ask you this. You do a decent amount of podcasts and interviews. There's a lot of people that want to interview. I'm sure you get a million requests a day. A fair amount of them turn into Andrew Tate hit pieces. And I'm sure that they don't.
Do they? Which ones?
Decent
Peers?
But like Vice and some of these
Vice. Yeah.
Right? That was a classic one.
Yeah.
I watched it in preparation for this. Didn't prepare me at all, but I did watch it.
Yeah.
Most of it. The ending was a little like not great.
Well, they're a bunch of liberal dorks, right? They're all
LA, Vice is washed.
LA crew.
Vice is washed. They are LA, aren't they? That's Miami, I think.
Is it? I don't know. I don't know with this cesspit of leftism, this whole destroying the West garbage comes from.
How do you like decide who you let interview you and not?
You know the great thing about being rich?
Yeah, what is that?
You can just make it up as you go along.
Really?
It's one of the best things about being rich. You don't need to have a system, and you don't need to really have a reason to do anything. I didn't have a reason to do this. I didn't have a financial motivation. I just thought, oh yeah,
definitely not.
If I finished court today, I could have just turned around and just not come.
You probably had a long day.
Yeah, I could have just, I can leave now. I mean, I can do whatever I want, right? So sometimes I say yes to things and I don't really need a reason, because if you work out the reason for everything in life, the magic is destroyed. Have you ever had a girl you're truly in love with and you love her with all your heart? If you sit down and think, why do I love her so much? You can start to name the reasons and you'll name the positive reasons. But if you do it long enough and if you're a professional and you're trying to be compendious, you're going to end up naming all the negatives as well. You're going to name all the positives, you're going to name all the negatives, you're going to analyze them all, and you're going to work it out that you're spending all this money and her tits are fake anyway, and you're not going to love her anymore. If you analyze it too heavily, the magic is gone. So maybe the magic of life is me just doing whatever I feel like because I have endless money. And I don't need a reason to do anything. Sometimes I talk to haters. Sometimes I talk to guys who like me. Sometimes I talk to small channels. Sometimes I talk to the biggest channels in the world.
You emphasize that small channel is a little bit too heavy right there for me.
Well, I mean, you're not the smallest I've ever spoken to. I'm sure you've probably heard this from a girl or something. You're not the smallest. But, you know, you're not the biggest either,
Let me ask you this. Does size matter?
I don't know. You from LA. You're going to have to tell me. This is more your domain. But I just do whatever I feel like. And
I like that.
Yeah, I can do whatever I want.
I do like that. You said love. So have you ever been in love?
Of course. The world is love. Everything. Love is the most powerful force in the universe.
You think you lead with love?
I think every man...
Should you lead with love?
Absolutely. Every man with any degree of masculinity should lead with love. Why else would you risk your life if it's not for love?
Ooh,
right?
Interesting.
Genuinely. Why does a soldier go to fight and die for his country? Is it because he hates the enemy, or is it because he loves his country? Why does a man protect his wife? Why does a man protect his kids? Why does a man do anything? Why does a man train hard and try and make money? It's because of self-love. You have to love things or you're just an empty shell. As a man, you should be full of love. I'm often accused of being full of hate because I have ideas and I'm against certain agendas, or I'm against certain countries or notions. Yeah. But that's not because I'm full of hate. It's because I love the other side. So the Matrix comes along and it tries to flip it. If you say, I love America, they're going to sit and say, oh, you're a racist or a xenophobe or whatever. And they're going to say you're full of hate, but you're not. You're full of love for something and you don't want it to change. If you love America, you don't want the demographics of America to change. You don't want the religion to change. You want it to stay the same. You don't want an open border because you love America. So I'm full of love. I think most men are full of love. And if you're not full of love, you're not very capable at all. Love is the number one thing worth dying for.
Do you love America?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm in the middle of a very delicate judicial process.
Yeah, you are.
And there are rumors that it was instigated by perhaps the number one superpower.
Really?
So I have to be very careful what I say.
Do you think that's true?
Well,
no way.
If you're going through life in LA with that haircut.
What do you think of my haircut, by the way?
Shit. Thinking that everything is just fair. Like your view of the world is just like there's a judge and there's a lawyer and there's the police and everything's just fair. I'll put this to you. People can't even play a basketball game without a referee, because if there's no referee, they cheat.
They cheat.
For a basketball game. Now you're going to talk about elections, controlling a country. You're going to talk about war. You're going to talk about some of the most famous people on the internet pushing ideas that you don't like or going against your narratives. And then you have to sit there and analyze as a professional and say, would there be some degree of cheating or snakery involved in this? It doesn't take much research to understand how governments have always worked throughout history and how they're currently working now. They want certain things done, and they're not going to let their own laws get in the way. So if you're the most famous man in the world at the time, I got arrested. I was the most Googled man on the planet.
You were.
I was the most Googled man on the planet with the number one demographic they're most afraid of, which is military-age males, because they want them to go die in ditches or build the roads and build the bridges and work jobs and pay taxes and be depressed and miserable, because there's no future for most men, which is why everyone's gambling on shitcoins in the first place, because they understand that if they go and get an engineering degree, they're never going to have any money. So there's no point becoming an engineer. So when the bridge collapses in Baltimore, it takes 9 years to build a bridge in the most powerful country in the world because we have no engineers, because everyone's gambling on shitcoins instead. And I don't blame them, because they're trying to escape the matrix, because the matrix is worst for military-age males. And I'm telling this to them, and they want to get rid of me. Do you think I've needed to ever have committed a crime? Do you think I've needed to have done anything wrong? Or do you think someone can just make a phone call and someone can say, just fix it? That's how the world works.
Let me ask you this serious question. Have you ever changed a public view or belief of yours based off like external pressure from like state or a government or a country?
If I had, I wouldn't have gone to jail.
Ooh.
Because that's what they do. They don't pressure you with, they don't intimidate you with violence initially. What they do is they offer you large sums of money primarily. Most avenues to fame, to super fame, and I don't want to be arrogant, but I believe I have super fame. I'm one of the most Googled men on the planet.
Famous. You have a large account.
Yeah, I mean, it's bigger than yours.
It's not saying much.
Most of the avenues to super fame are gatekept, right? So YouTube can gatekeep you, your manager can gatekeep you, your producer can gatekeep you, a record label can gatekeep you, a sports team can gatekeep you. There's only certain things you can say before you end up losing your contract with whoever. And that team, that manager, whatever, those walls can be pressured into getting rid of you. I managed to become monumentally successful without any kind of gatekeeper. They kicked me off of all of the social media. It didn't work. I don't have a manager. I don't have a producer. I don't need a record label.
You have a manager?
No, it's all just me. So that annoyed them. And the reason they keep these gatekeepers in place is so that when they come out with certain narratives which can't be questioned, everyone shuts up, which is effectively how they get away with what they get away with. That's how the world works. So what they do with me, I can only speak from my own experiences. They come along and they say, here's $55 million. You're going to be sponsored by X, Y, Z, but you're going to have official opinions on these topics.
No way.
And when you say no to that contract, which infuriates them, by the way, they're not used to people saying no to money. Yeah. It's also why they're after Trump. Because they can't bribe him. He's 70-something and he's rich. You can't bribe him with money. He doesn't care. Yeah. And that annoys them because especially when weak people become rich, when strong people become rich, they understand the realities of the world. But when weak people become rich, like crypto dorks, they think that money is everything and they think they can buy everyone. And when they find someone they can't buy, they get very angry. Yeah. So when you turn these contracts down, they get very angry and they start to say things like, well, you know, you're very famous and you've had a long and interesting past, Andrew, and you might need important friends one day. This kind of veiled bullshit.
Wow.
And you ignore them, and then you get arrested, and you go to jail. That's how it works. If I would have signed that contract, I'm sure I would not have gone to jail, and I would have $55 million extra, but I would have sold my soul. And this is what you have to do to become monumentally successful in the world today. You have to sell your soul and sell your sanity. That's why all these famous people talk such utter bullshit. That's why they say such garbage. That's why all the politicians vote against the interests of their own constituents. That's why most of the other large podcasters, YouTubers you can name are sellouts. That's why when I was canceled, they all stood up in unison and said, yes, you should be canceled. Yes, yes. Because Susan called them and said, do you want to keep your YouTube channel? This is how it works. It's all a scam. So to decide to be sovereign takes a degree of bravery that most are not prepared for. After I turned that contract down, I said on every single podcast, they're going to put me in jail for something. I started saying it over and over and over.
I heard it.
Because I understand the world. And I knew what was going to happen. And what's going to happen at the end of this imaginary case I'm charged with, I don't know. Maybe I'll go to jail for 20 years. Maybe. But my sanity is not for sale. So do I want to sell my soul? Am I going to wear a dress? Am I going to...
Have you ever worn a dress?
Of course not. I'm not going to do anything stupid for the idea of my own safety.
Let me ask you this, is like...
the question I want to ask you, sir, is if you were in my position, what would you do? And I want you to tell the truth. Would you have taken that money and would you have certain ideas? Because you're the kind of guy who just assaults people on the internet and you don't even think, you don't operate from a frame of honor. Yeah. So I'm asking genuinely.
But let me say this to you.
Would you take the money and just sell your soul?
So the answer is no. You're not going to believe it. I don't have $55 million. I don't have a couple, to be honest. But you know this. You understand how crypto works. I
don't care about crypto. I'm asking about your soul, your honor as a man.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you an example. Big money moves in crypto from a lot of people that don't deserve it. If you have influence in crypto, you know this. You make a tweet, hundreds of millions of dollars get thrown around instantly, right? Money moves. So you can assume that any person that has any sphere of influence is offered like very large deals to do things that probably are not morally or ethically correct. But like, who cares? You can get away with it.
Yeah.
I have sort of, you don't know me very well. You know me now. We're forming a relationship. You said friend when I hand you the coffee. Have sort of had like a one non-negotiable, which is my beliefs, my values, and my ethics. And I sort of think that if you do it the right way, I've turned down, I'll be honest with you, we could pull up my bank statement. I don't have $1 million right now. I've been offered millions for many deals that I decided were incorrect, I shouldn't take. And I've sort of came with the stance that if you do it the right way, you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you like stand by your values and your beliefs, you ultimately get to where you want to get to. And I believe that if I sold my soul, I probably wouldn't be sitting here on this podcast. I wouldn't be on YouTube posting this with millions.
So you're prepared to go to jail?
I believe I would rather go to jail than sell my soul to something, because it's like, at what cost? You sell your soul, then what's left?
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's
like,
exactly right.
That's what you just said. I'm repurposing it, but it's like,
that's all you own.
Like, I don't want to go to jail. Am I afraid of jail? Like, yeah. Like, I don't want to go to jail. Like respect to you, Tristan. Like, I don't know how y'all do it, but at a certain stage, if you're offered two options and one of them is worse than jail or jail, I think you kind of only have one choice there.
What's that choice? To sell your soul?
It's to go to jail. It's like, which one's worse?
It's funny though, because you say that, and everyone I ask that question says that.
Okay.
But it's interesting. I seem to be the only person who chose that choice.
Do you believe that you're the only person that chose that?
Well, I don't know if I'm the only one, but there's a lot of people who clearly were happy to have a member of their team turns transgender to show the kids, or happy to say whatever Susan told them to in unison with a cancellation, or happy to agree with Israel, or happy to agree with LGBT, or happy to agree with BLM. There's a lot of people who instantly sign on the dotted line in unison, instantly. And they're the same people who sit and say, oh, if I had the choice, I'd never sell my soul. Yeah. Where are they? We wouldn't be in the mess we were in if it wasn't just me and my brother doing this. The fact is only us two, basically, and a few others standing against a system is the reason we're in the mess we're in. If you don't currently have a criminal case, you're not important in the fight against the system. If you're not currently, like myself, like Assange, like Roger Ver, like Russell Brand, like Trump, like if you're not currently going to court, you're a nobody. You're either a nobody or you're on the wrong side.
That's crazy.
That's the reality. You're either on the wrong side or you're on the right side, but you're an insignificant pawn on the chessboard and they're trying to take out the kings. If you're not living with a current attempted criminal conviction.
So what you're saying is if I don't have a case active and I haven't sold my soul, I'm just insignificant?
Unfortunately, yes.
That's crazy.
So once you get to a level of significance,
they're coming.
you're going to know, because they're going to raid your house. Because your ability to speak freely is directly correlated with your insignificance. The reason you can say what you think is because nobody listens.
Because nobody listens?
That's
crazy.
The second that people listen to you or care what you say, then they're gonna police your speech. So the First Amendment doesn't exist in the first place.
I don't know if I should feel good or bad about that.
Well, I mean, you could probably sleep easier than me. But then is your life goal to sleep?
No.
Like, is your life goal to be comfortable and sleep easy and not worry about the police coming and just do and make little podcasts? Or is your life goal to be remembered in one of the last periods of human history when the enslavement could be resisted?
Really? Talk to me about that.
Well, you have to decide what you're here on Earth for.
How much time do we have left?
Well, I don't know. AI is pretty scary, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Don't you think it's escalating faster than the human mind ever possibly could?
Tell me this, like, I feel like no one's really talking about like how fast and rapidly AI is getting insane.
Well, I watched something Elon Musk said, and he's completely correct. I remember watching this chess game in 1997 when Garry Kasparov was defeated by Deep Blue. That's 22 years ago.
That's crazy.
That's 23 years ago. That the best computer destroyed the humans. That's right. And that's chess, which is supposed to be the pinnacle of, like, our phones can destroy the best chess master in the world now.
Yeah.
So we're going to enter a brand new era. It's going to be interesting because typically as kings and empires fall, new kings and new empires take over. So what happened in days of old when the British Empire fell, the American Empire took over. So you'd have a human who is fallible. And when his empire falls, all his ideals and his morals and his religion falls with him. Perhaps his race, his ethnicity, everything falls with him. And a new king comes. The Ottomans can conquer Romania. They have attempted many times. And then Islam is the primary religion. And they have a new capital and things change. But now we're going to be entering a very interesting state of humanity where as the empire falls, it's going to be replaced with technology. So I don't know what that's going to look like, because I believe that instead of a country losing its global influence and a king falling and military power waning, we're going to have some new man in charge. We're going to have the old man in charge, but he's not really in charge. And there's a server somewhere in a mountainside which knows everyone you've ever spoken to and everything you've ever said and everywhere you ever go. And it controls your money and it controls everything else. And you're just a pawn in the machine.
Are you scared of that?
I don't operate from a frame of fear. So I don't operate with the idea.
What does scare you? Like, do you?
Well, scared is not a mental frame I subscribe to. So it's not about afraid.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that every single government on earth wants as much power over its citizens as possible. And you can look at it from the idea of them being purely evil, or you can understand that individual liberty is not always good for the government, right? If you have an ant farm, what's good for the ant farm doesn't always have to be good for the individual ant. Perhaps the individual ant needs to die for the ant farm. So you have to decide, do you build a society which is based on the good of the ant farm or based on the good of the ant? Well, this is the big, great deception because the government is trying to pretend it cares about each individual ant, but really it cares about the ant farm.
Because it can't care about the individual.
Of course, because it has to care about the ant farm.
Yeah.
So when you talk about these things, why do governments want endless control? Well, because it's good for the ant farm. It'd be very good for the farm if they understood everything about every single citizen and could control every single citizen and make sure they all do what they're supposed to do. That would be fantastic for the economy. But then you also understand that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and they're going to use it for their own personal gain and enslave humanity, which is what humans are naturally inclined to do. And they're going to have technological help. So we're entering a very interesting stage in the evolution of history. And I think now encouraging people to think freely is more important than it's ever been. And encouraging men to be masculine in regards to they believe in something outside of themselves, which is the masculine imperative. The masculine imperative is to understand that it's worth dying for something that isn't me, which is the main primary difference between men and women, which we can talk about in a second.
Okay.
But I think now is one of the last periods of human history where you can even do those things, because soon we're all going to be half cyborg with chips in our brains. And if you try and think the wrong thing, you'll get an electric shock instantly and your electric car won't start.
That's crazy.
And that'll be it. So this is one of the last eras of free think, which is actually, it's very interesting. I think when I talk about the masculine, I think the masculine naturally oppose enslavement, any man with balls anyway, which is few and far between. But the reason that we naturally oppose enslavement is because we understand we were the ones who got murdered. If you look in days of old, if the Romans conquered the Greeks, all the military age males were killed. The women weren't killed. The women were added to harems. They were sex slaves and they had kids and they got integrated into the new tribe. Whereas the men had to die on the spot. So we're naturally more xenophobic. We're naturally more racist. We're naturally more territorial. We're naturally more opposing to enslavement. We're naturally more these things because we understand that once those things come into power, once another power structure comes into play, which isn't us, we're going to die. Women aren't like that. Women are pro-migration and pro-liberal ideas and pro-free think and pro-LGBT, pro all this shit, because they know that it doesn't matter what happens. In the end, they just end up a sex slave and it's like, whatever. But most of them are sex slaves anyway. They're already with some guy for money and
that's a crazy take.
Paying their rent. So that's why they're not afraid of it. But the masculine frame is afraid of these things because once an opposing viewpoint to your own comes and they have the power, who's right?
How many women?
What did I say? We're looping back to what I said at the beginning. Who is right?
Damn.
Who's right? Answer. It's a question. The man who can kill you is right.
Yeah.
Who's right? The people with the most force are right, always. So when another
wins.
Of course, who wins is right.
I've never really thought about that before. It's an interesting take, though.
Well, it's the truth. This is all of history is based on who was right and who was wrong. And it's very simple. Who won and who lost.
You're talking about paying rent. How many women's rent do you actively pay?
No, but the point I'm making there, we don't have to talk about me paying women's rents. We have to talk about the point I'm making is that there are a lot of women, especially in the Western world, which already see themselves as part of a harem anyway. And they're like, oh, fine, whatever, my bills are paid, I'm taken care of. And they don't really care if the power structure which pays their bills change as long as their bills are paid. So women are naturally more selfish than men. Whereas men understand that they will die if their way of life changes, which is why we are naturally more resistant to enslavement and change, as we should be. That makes us the protectors of society. But that's a masculine trait. When I say masculine trait, I do not mean simply biological male. I mean a masculine man,
male.
Which is LA. I don't know if there's any left.
You're looking at one right here. I promise we're gonna talk about crypto and shit in a little bit. I got a few more things though. Do you feel like the pendulum is like shifting back to free think, masculinity, and sort of like getting away from where we've been in the last couple of years?
I hope so. Pendulum swing, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point. It goes too far one way. And it goes too far the other.
It certainly went too far one way.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
And fast, right? Like it happened. You're older than me. You have more experience than I do, but certainly it happened faster than it has in the past.
Yeah, the world's speeding up.
Oh, interesting.
And because that's what computers do. Computers speed things up. You can do the same math a calculator can do. You just do it slow.
Yeah, fast.
Calculator's quick. Yeah. So, what is it? What is a computer? It's binary code. It's math. Quick math is all it takes to make video games, crypto coins, music, you name it. Quick math. That's all it is. So the world is speeding up. It's getting faster than ever before. I like to believe it's swinging back, and it's very important that it is because, like I said, we're at a pivotal point in human history. But if it swings back too far, then it will once again come with its own problems. If it swings back too far, you'll have something like Europe where the Romanians hate the Hungarians, and you're going to have problems on the border again. This is the natural state of humanity. There's never an equilibrium. It's never perfect. There's never white and black. There's varying shades of gray. Even
never white and
even the
black.
breaking of the matrix.
You are right about that.
Which I spoke about endlessly and have been a massive contributor to and have tried very hard to instigate. Even the breaking of the matrix comes with a whole bunch of downsides. We need the matrix. We need people who believe in this garbage. We need people who believe in the system. Everyone's minds are free. Once everybody understands what I understand, there's not going to be anybody waiting at a traffic light, and there's going to be nobody working a minimum wage job, and the whole economy is going to collapse. It's all over. You need people who sit and go through life and believe that they follow the rules and do what they're supposed to do, that the government cares about them, and it's all going to be okay, and just get my booster jabs, and everything's going to be fine. You need these people because someone has to wash your fucking car. That's the reality of the world. If the matrix breaks too much, then we have a new problem because then we have chaos. Because once the matrix completely breaks, you end up with warlords.
So let me ask you this. If everything you say about like breaking the matrix and people sort of following your beliefs and your ideals happens, and society as we know it sort of collapses because there is no one sitting at traffic lights working minimum wage jobs, what's the outcome? Like you won, but like at what cost?
Well, the beautiful thing is that most minds are not ready to be free.
So it's like they couldn't even be freed if they wanted to.
That's the great thing about it. So I'm looking for the people who are prepared to listen to me. And there's only a select few who understand what I'm talking about. Most people say, oh, Andrew's crazy.
He's crazy.
Oh, yeah, I'm crazy. I'm crazy. You go back to work in Starbucks and I'll be crazy over here on my private jet. It's no problem. You just work at Starbucks. And yeah, I need a coffee. Thank you. It's no problem. It's no problem for me, genuinely.
Yeah.
But you need the matrix because without the matrix, then you go back to the baseline of humanity. What did I say the baseline of humanity was? Do you remember?
Say it again.
Violence. This is the baseline of humanity. Once you lose faith and control in systems.
True?
Of course it is. I can prove it to you.
How would you prove it?
You believe in violence. Everybody here understands violence. If something were to happen in this room, you'd call the police, right?
Yeah.
And if the police turn up and I or you or anybody else resists the police, what do?
It gets violent.
Of course. So the police are violence by phone call.
Damn.
If you get a parking ticket and you don't pay your parking ticket,
they come collect that shit.
Well, that's right. They add more money on. You don't pay it. They say go to court. You don't go. They come with a bailiff. You resist that. They call the police. You resist that. So they put a bunch of layers on top.
Yeah.
But the only reason you care about the ticket in the first place is because you subconsciously know that one day it will get violent if you do not pay that ticket. Otherwise, it will get violent.
Not because you want to pay it.
Of course. So the bottom line of everything is violence. So once the matrix completely cracks, you end up with warlords. Then you end up with opposing teams. And you have this in some countries now. You have it in Haiti. You have opposing teams. Who has the most guns? Who can be the most violent? Who will win? And who is right and who is wrong will be decided by the dead bodies on the street.
Who wins?
That's the bottom line of it. So the matrix is in and of itself, although it can be negative and although they're using a bunch of false versions of reality and they're purporting it into people's minds, I understand very well why they're doing it. Because what they're trying to do is put enough layers of fluff and garbage on top of the violence that most people, like yourself, don't even realize they're living in a world which is governed by violence.
That's crazy.
You are governed and controlled by violence, and you don't realize it because you think it's all about parking tickets and fines and probation and all this garbage is just, please don't make us get violent.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So the matrix is built on top of that. And for people to still believe in that keeps a lot of humanity sane. If nobody believed in any of this anymore, then it would literally just be a free-for-all. So you do need people who are afraid to run the red light because they're worried about the ticket. You need these things. I don't want the matrix to break, absolutely. However, I didn't like the fact that we were living in a world where they could force everybody to get an injection for the common cold, and that injection was poisonous, and nobody could see their families.
Yeah.
That's when I started speaking out against the matrix.
Was that the turning point?
I've known all these things for a very long time. The only reason I decided to start speaking out and become so notable and so well known is because when I saw the COVID shit, I said, that's enough.
Wait, so the COVID vaccine was the turning point for Andrew Tate being very public with your beliefs and your ideals?
COVID was a difficult period for me.
Yeah. Where were you for COVID?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Which is so interesting because everyone says, oh, I had to get it. I couldn't travel. No, you're a pussy. You're a bitch and you pussied out. Are you vaccinated? Don't lie to me.
No.
Don't lie.
No.
Don't lie.
I did not get the prick. Didn't go to college. Didn't need it for college. Dropped out of college.
Sense
didn't
lies.
have nothing.
Someone check this out.
Didn't have nothing.
Point is, I traveled the entire world the entire time. I just turned up to airports.
And what happened?
Said I had to get on. I lived there. Let me on.
Really?
Argued with low-income fucking airport staff. They didn't even know the rules. They change so often.
That's crazy.
I traveled the entire world. Then I started flying private. I even before that, even though I had money, I thought flying private was a waste of money. Then I just started flying private so I didn't have to wear a mask.
You started flying private during that?
Of course, yeah. I just got a jet and just flew all over the world. And then it's very interesting because I actually bought my Bugatti during COVID.
You didn't have one before that?
No. I was sitting in Germany at a Bugatti track day. We did a track day with all the cars. Yeah. And you made your order. I was making my order that day. And we did a track day. It was me and there was some guy from Holland who owns a bunch of malls, shopping malls or something. There was, of course, a few Arab guys. There was a Russian guy who didn't speak to anybody. There's whatever. We're all sitting there. The billionaires. I was the poorest man in the room. Nobody's wearing a mask. Everyone managed to fly in from different countries. None of the big guys have to wear a mask. I don't wear a mask. No one's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And no one gave a fuck. Oh, but it's funny. But the second you get out back in the real world, you want to go into a supermarket. A mask. Poor people. Slave minds. The brokies. The poor people. It was very upsetting to me, COVID, because I was like, this is how most people are living their lives. They're believing everything they are told. And they do not question anything. They don't believe their own eyes. They don't believe their own ears. They're literally slave-minded. And when I started speaking up against COVID, I realized that people are slave-minded about everything. Nobody understands the realities of this earth. And then I became monumentally successful and powerful. And then I said to Tristan, we have a problem. Tristan and I had a conversation about this specifically. We were sitting at a mansion in Dubai. There was 30 girls in the pool. We had fresh watermelon and staff and a big fat cigar. And we're sitting in this $100 million mansion. Bugatti's outside. I bought a McLaren for a video. And there's all these cars outside. Tristan says to me, we've made it. I said, no, we're fucked. And he said, why? I said, life is not this easy. It can't be this easy. We've completed life. We're young, we're tall, we're strong, we're rich, we're interesting, we're famous. We have every beautiful woman. We have every car. We have a $100 million mansion. There's no way we're going to get away with this. Something's going to happen. 2 months later, we were in jail. That's how life works.
That's crazy.
So I was turning down the biggest podcasts in the world back then because I kept saying to my brother, Icarus, he flew too close to the sun. I'm getting too big and I'm talking too much truth. I have to be more careful or they're going to put us in jail. And I actually tried to reduce my fame. Unfortunately, when I speak so much sense, people listen. Yeah. And then I ended up in jail. And then I came out of jail and I was told by various people from various countries to shut up. And I decided that the only way out is through. And if they're going to lock me up for 20 years, then I want to go out in a blaze of glory. So I stopped. I didn't shut up. I continued. Perhaps I'm too stubborn for my own good, perhaps.
Damn.
But that's the world. So
hey, can I be honest?
Sure.
I did lie. And I did get I got the first prick. But bro, I had to. Like,
do you see?
And it's a weird topic.
No, before you continue. Before you continue, I want everyone at home to understand something. People can't lie to me. Do you understand? I don't even.
I was through. I have a guilty conscience.
I don't even know you.
I have a guilty conscience.
I don't even know you.
It's a weird topic.
I don't know your mannerisms.
It's like an awkward
I can't tell if you're lying
what kind of
truthful.
question is that?
It doesn't matter.
You know what I mean? Like,
it doesn't matter.
Weird...
I've been around. I can tell. I could smell it.
Okay, but here's the thing.
That's the difference between me and everybody else. I've been raised in a certain way. If you say you're not going to kill me, but you intend to kill me, I know.
Let me talk though. Let me say. Well, first of all, I feel like I can't. I have a guilty conscience, so I can't lie. So I did, but we fixed it. But it was a weird time, dude. I was fucking like 19. I was trying to go to school. I dropped out, but they were like, you can't enroll in college if you don't get this thing. Your parents look at you like you're a fucking failure if you don't go to college. You can't even go to the airport to go visit your friends across the country. Like,
so let me ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
There's only two logical reasons to have gotten the vaccine.
Okay.
You're either stupid or you're a coward. Now, let me give you the explanation for both, and you can let me know which one you want.
All right, cool. Go ahead.
If you believe you need a vaccine to save you from something with a 99.9% survival rate, you're stupid.
Okay.
If you don't believe you needed the vaccine to help you, but you just wanted to be able to travel, and you're too pussy to find a way to travel without giving up your bloodstream to the government, then you're a coward.
Okay.
So you have to let me know if you were stupid or a coward.
Here's the real reason.
It's one of the two, sir. You have to choose.
I think, can we use underinformed instead of stupid? I don't like, stupid's a harsh word.
Why?
Because it's like, it's
stupid people are underinformed.
But you said the world's not black and white, it's gray.
Oh, so you're partially stupid.
Uninformed. Here's why. Here's the actual reason I got it. Let's have
you injected something in your arm without informing yourself.
Listen to me. I feel, okay, this is going to be a cop-out. You're going to call me a cop-out for this, but I'm going to just be honest. I love my family. I do. We talked about the family vacation.
Who doesn't?
My dad is old, right? He's old, has some health problems, heart issues.
Sure.
We're in lockdown. We're in, whatever. I'm in Virginia. I'm not in LA yet. I'm not allowed to go outside. And I'm seeing friends and shit. Like, of course, I'm going crazy in the fucking house. I'm senior in high school. We can't go outside. I got a girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. Like, we can't see anyone. And I'm going out and I'm meeting people. I'm seeing my friends, whatever. And it got to the point where this was still when people were like scared of COVID. It wasn't like...
I was never scared.
Well, but I'm not the top G, okay? It was at the time where you didn't really know what the deal was, especially for old people.
I knew.
If you were old, you're not. If you were old...
You think I don't know old people?
Well, you do. But you kind of...
I'm built different. You fell for the psyop. But you were psyop,
I don't want my dad to die.
You were psyop.
I 100% was psyop.
You were psyop.
But I don't want my dad to die.
Okay, you were psyop. But this is what's so interesting about the world. So now we can talk about another subject because you were psyop. And this is what's so interesting.
All right, go ahead.
This is a life lesson for everyone at home. No, this is interesting.
All right, go ahead. I might have to
This is why you have to correct...
Do I cut this out?
No. Keep it in.
Keep going.
This is why you have to curate your circle so heavily in life. Because if you're hanging around with men who can be psyoped, even if their loyalty to you is absolute, even if they love you with all their heart, they're worth nothing
Yeah.
when a psyop comes along.
Valid.
Which is also why we can apply this to relationships.
Let's apply it.
You could say this to everything, right?
Yeah.
A man says, "Oh, I trust my wife. I love her with all my heart." I say, "Yeah, but she's a female. She loves you too, and she means it when she says it. Of course she does, and she's loyal to you because she loves you. Yeah. But she's a female. She can be scared. She can be intimidated. She can be psyoped. Things can change. Yeah. When she sits in front of a police interview, and they tell her that you're going away for life." And that she's going to go with you unless she signs that paper. She will sign it because she's self-interested and she'll just go and be someone else's sex slave. That's what she'll do. And she'll just move on and leave you to die. That's the reality of the world. Yeah. So what you're actually advertising to the world right now, and I hope you do not cut this out, sir, is that your friendship is worth nothing because you can be psyoped into the other team near instantly. You are probably the kind of person who was mad at the unvaccinated. People like me who were refusing to get vaccinated while traveling the entire world. You have to understand. No, what's crazy is this. Have you looked in the mirror? Have you looked in the mirror and looked yourself in the eye and felt deep shame for aiding the government in one of the largest psyops of human history, for enslaving people to the point where they missed the deaths of their grandparents? You should feel ashamed.
So listen to me. I think it's my biggest regret, my biggest life regret, because I think, and we'll talk about it. Because I think when it happened, I was psyops because I was underinformed. I was kind of like I was in high school. I was still like, I hadn't really done anything yet. Didn't really know how to think for myself. Kind of was psyop by family, friends, whatever. But like deep down, you knew, like I'm sitting in that park, like afterward, throwing up afterwards. Like, deep down, like I should not, this is a bad idea. I should not do this. I did it anyways. And I think it was important though. Like it was an important character development.
Well, what lessons have you learned? Let's talk about it.
The lesson that I think I learned how to think for myself afterwards. Yeah. Because I think I walked out of that place and I knew, you know when you do something wrong, whether it's present in that moment or not, you know. Like I have a guilty conscience, I have a really strong gut feeling. And I walked out of that shit and I was like, I just fucked up, like bad. I know this is wrong. I had the fucking disease before I got the shot. I was fine. I had a fever for 2 days, I was fine. I walked out of that place and I knew I did a bad thing. But I knew I did a bad thing because it was like a lack of like knowledge. Like I didn't take the time, because here's the reality of it. I didn't want my father to die. I was definitely persuaded heavily to get this thing. But at the same time, like if it was a matter of life or death, I could have not done it, right? Let's be real, I'm being honest. I could have. Of course. So I think I left that. And it's funny because right around the time that happened was when I dropped out of college, came on crypto Twitter, started making some money, started doing podcasts, doing spaces, thinking for myself, like working, actually trying to level up and improve myself. I think like that was like a specific moment that I could point to where you sort of like look in the mirror and you were like, you are like not good enough. You were incompetent. Like you need to figure it the fuck out like right now because this just happened. It's your fault. You can't really blame mom. You can't really blame. At first I did. I'm like, Mom, you made me do this. But she didn't really. She cares about her husband too.
Of course. Well, you took responsibility, so you learned about that.
I did. I took responsibility for it.
That's good.
It was no one else's decision but mine.
Yep.
And I think like that was like the moment. Like if we looked at like a timetable of my life, there's like a moment where I'm, this whatever I'm doing, what I'm doing, and then you like break out of the matrix, whatever it is.
Well, that's fantastic.
And that was like the moment where my life changed. Well, undeniably.
That's fantastic.
Undeniably.
Good.
So it happened. I can't take it back. It's a weird topic. I don't like saying it because it's like a weird, especially now.
Is it because you have like 10 years left? Is that why?
Potentially, or I'm infertile. But I will say, and we can move on from it now, but I will say that was like the moment where I think I like looked in the mirror and I'm like, there's no one coming to save you but you. There's no one that's going to figure it out for you but you. And there's no one that cares about you like you care about you. And you either like figure it the fuck out right now or you're going to sort of just be stuck in this like feather in the wind, this endless loop.
It's interesting you say feather in the wind. Before I make this point, can you give me some coffee, baby, please? It's interesting you say feather in the wind. Have you seen the beginning of Forrest Gump? I always found this interesting. The beginning of Forrest Gump, it's the feather in the wind, isn't it? Before it lands on the park bench. And that is the story of most people's lives. But if you learned something from it, then I guess you can come out with that very boring, age-old adage, which many people have used, that it's never a loss, it's only a lesson, blah, blah, blah. And you're right. Perhaps I have more life experience than you. Perhaps I've been around.
But you're older.
Well, it's not just that I'm older, but I'm also, I'm perspicacious and I'm paranoid and I'm not very trusting.
Perspicacious is a big word.
It's a great word.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, I find it amazing that anybody fell for it in the first place at all. Yeah. If I came up to you and said, hey, you need this hamburger for your health. Protein's good for you. You'd say, I'm not really hungry. You need to have it. If you don't have it, you can't leave your house. Like, what the fuck?
Eat this fucking burger.
Eat this fucking burger now, or your dad'll die. You'll be like, you know what? I don't really trust this burger. Why does he want me to eat this burger so bad? Now, perhaps it's just my upbringing. Perhaps I was raised on the streets where I understand nothing is free. You go to the government and you say you have cancer. They don't give a shit. But if you have the common cold, they want to give you 8 injections and will do anything to get it done. Oh, come on, bro. I've been around. I'm not a dumbass. But anyway, I'm glad you admitted it. It's actually no. My tone towards you is going to change.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, I'll say this.
You admitted you lied. I respect that. I respect that, sir.
I appreciate that.
I knew you lied because no one could lie to me. But I'm glad you admitted it.
Yeah.
I'll be 10% nicer.
So 110. All right. Let me say, this is the last thing I want to ask you, and I want to talk about some crypto stuff. I was listening to a podcast you did not that long ago, and I don't really want to talk about the trial and all of this.
Yeah, it's boring.
But you had a take that I thought was interesting. I never heard anyone say it before. And it was basically like, if you're rich, financially rich, and you're not prepared to go to jail, like your life is not set up where you can go to jail and your people can be protected, your kids, your women, whatever it is,
correct,
you're poor.
Yep.
And my question for you is, how do you prepare for jail?
Well, once again, I'm in an interesting legal predicament. Yeah. But this actually ties back into what we were saying earlier about selling your soul, because you don't own anything else. I don't think many people at home actually understand that they don't own anything. You buy a house, you own it until you don't pay the property taxes. Then they come and take it off you. How did they take it off you? Violence. Police come. If you disobey the police, you get shot. They come with violence. Then you go to court and say, that's my house. I paid for it. My whole family have lived there. It's mine. And they say, but you didn't pay your property taxes and we put the taxes up even though we've just randomly raised them and you can't afford it because you lost your job because you were locked in your house because of Corona. We still took your house off you. How do we decide if they were right? Well, they have the guns. So they're right. Doesn't matter how unfair we think it is. They're right and you lost it. It's the same with money in a bank account. It's the same with Bitcoin. I mean, unless you have a boating accident, if you leave it on an exchange, trust me, they'll take it.
Which is crazy, by the way. I heard you say that.
They'll take it. They'll find it. If they get your computers, laptops, etc., they'll find it. It's very hard to be rich now because most people are so concerned with making money that they never sit and think, what would I actually do?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. If I gave you $50 million today, let's say I gave you 1 month's salary.
Yeah.
Take it. Where would you put it?
I was going to ask you this question.
Because you put it in the bank, they'll take it.
I don't know.
On an exchange, they'll take it. You can try and put it in on a Trezor and hide the Trezor.
You're going to get killed, right?
Well, you have to make sure no one knows about that Trezor. Yeah. And you have to make sure they don't put you in a police cell and say, look, if you don't tell us the password or you don't tell us the recovery key, the seed phrase, you're staying in this room for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You put it in gold. How are you going to move gold around?
Yeah, what do you do?
What do you do with it? You buy property. But then you have to
take the property.
Well, they'll take the property. So then you have to sit and analyze all the world's governments.
Buy Bugattis, they take the cars.
Of course. So you have to sit and say, well, which government is least likely to take things away from me? And then you realize you're living inside of the American empire. So any government which you'd like to live in, at least, the American empire can pressure. Yeah. If you're important enough, if you're not insignificant, you have a house in Thailand, the American government can, via their embassy, pressure the Thai government to take the house. Thai police turn up. Ching, ching, choo, 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 choo. You start arguing with them. You don't speak Thai, whatever. They kick you out. It's not yours. They're right. They got the guns. Welcome to the real world. So what do you even do with money? And then what do you do with money once you go to jail? What do you do when the mother of your children is crying on the phone saying, I need money? And you're like, well, this call's recorded. So you're just going to have to wait.
Damn.
I'll fix it.
This call's just recorded.
Wait. Oh, but shut up.
Shut up. Yeah.
The call is recorded.
Wow.
But women, they're women. Oh yeah, but I need to. So here's. I'm going to answer your question.
Go.
Then you realize that power is loyalty and loyalty is power.
Power is loyalty and loyalty is power.
So the only way you can truly set yourself up to go to jail
is to have loyalty.
Is to have other people who can fill your place when you're in jail.
How do you vet loyalty?
Well, that's another whole very interesting topic. But the point I'm asking, a hypothetical situation. Let's say a hypothetical scenario. Let's imagine there was this very tall, handsome, smart, funny, interesting, rich, charismatic,
5'11".
No, not. He has to be at least 6'3", called Top G, who's in jail. And let's imagine that he was being hit with a global embargo for money laundering, part of a bullshit case. Yeah. And that every government in the world was trying to shut him up and take all of his things. And the mother of one of his children needed to eat. He would need somebody who he knows, who has no social media presence, who isn't known by anybody, who doesn't exist, who had access to hundreds of millions of dollars. And he'd have to trust that person to the point where they would never rob him. Power is loyalty and loyalty is power. If you have genuine power and genuine loyalty around you, then you're very hard to hurt because they can't arrest everyone you've ever known.
No.
They can't put everyone you've ever known in jail.
No.
If I wanted to buy a $25 million penthouse, I could just buy it. I could just go up to a friend who I've known for 25 years and say, you now own a $25 million penthouse. Thank you. And if I want to sell it, you're going to sign this. And say, yeah, cool, cool, boom, boom, done. And I can trust him. Now, most people can't do that because that person would end up snaking them. And that person would end up snaking them because that person could be perhaps, I don't know, psyoped into snaking them.
How would that happen?
Easily, a female, typically. A female, they'd get with a woman. I'd trust this man. We'd buy $25 million worth of assets. It would all be in his name. Yeah. Me and the guy would be best friends for a very long time. He'd get with the woman. The woman would be in his ear. I want a handbag. I want a handbag. I want diamonds. I want a car. He said, I ain't got any money. Well, you got this house. It's not mine. It's Andrew's. Well, why are you taking all the risk? Why is it in your name? You know he's a criminal. You know he's a human trafficker. He's taking the risk. You're going to go to jail. You should at least ask for something. Why don't you ask for $1 million? What's he paying you for doing this? At the same time, she's jerking him off. Eventually. And that's why you can't be around men who can be psyoped. Because women are the number one psyopers.
Damn.
And that's why you can't trust women, because they can be psyoped themselves. This is the exact point of life. So you have to find men who are rigid in their mind state and loyal to honor and dignity and mission and creed above all things, which is so difficult to find. But if you do have those things, you're near impossible to hurt. For example, in this hypothetical scenario, this man's house could be raided and they could take all of his gold and his diamond watches and all of his money and seize all his bank accounts and all his 25 supercars and all his properties globally, and they could take everything. And then he'd get out of jail and have 25 new cars in a week. Be interesting how that could perhaps happen. But that would be down to having true loyalty around him. But birds of a feather flock together, right?
Ooh.
So you're never going to have true loyalty if you're not truly loyal yourself. You're only going to be around men who are prepared to die for you if you're prepared to die for them. This is why you look at the most powerful street gangs and mafias on the earth. They don't have to be rich and important. They can just be guys on a street corner. But if they're loyal to each other and ready to die together, they run that street corner. That's it. Loyalty is power and power is loyalty. So this is the bottom line of it. So you can't go through life what most people do now because they're selfish, which is a feminine trait to be selfish. They say, I want men around me I can trust, and I want men around me who would die for me, but I don't want to die for them. Well, that's not real. There's no light without dark. If you're prepared to make the sacrifice for them, they'll make the sacrifice for you. The reason I have people I can trust on that level is because they know that if me and them were walking down the street and 20 men with blades came up, we would die together. That's the decision we made. So when I'm in jail, I know that everything's going to be okay. That's how you set your life up. There's no other way to do it. If you want to be alone in this world, it's always ever been a band of brothers against evil. It's never been anything else. You can go back any point in human history. Sooner or later, it got to a point where it was you and your boys, either your gang, your army, your team, whatever, against them and their boys. And whoever was right was the one who won. And that's all it's ever been. It's all it's ever going to be. That's what it comes down to at the end.
Whoever's right is the one that won.
That's right. And the government's going to come it came for me. If you continue on this path, if you manage to become successful one day, they're going to come for you. And you have to sit down and ask yourself and look in the mirror and say, if they came for me with the full force of the most powerful government on the planet, who would pay my bills? Who would take care of my woman? Who would pay for my kid? Who would do these things? And you have to ask yourself that question.
Would you do it for me?
The problem is, sir, I don't know if you'd ever do it for me.
Oh, interesting.
So this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm the kind of guy, you could give me your meager income and I wouldn't notice. I could put it in some fucking account and it's cigar money. It's nothing. And I'd take care of your family because I'm a nice man. But would I do it knowing you'd never return the favor? I'm not sure because I'm also not an idiot. So you have to find somebody you're prepared to suffer for them to suffer for you. This is how the world works.
So it's impossible to be rich and a lone wolf.
It's impossible to be much and be a lone wolf. This whole idea of Rambo, like you see in the movies, that one guy.
It's a cool movie.
Well, it's a cool movie, and Rambo's the man.
Yeah, Rambo's lit.
He's the man.
Yeah.
But one guy doesn't win.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how capable you are. I'm a retired 4-time kickboxing world champion, but if 50 men attack me, it might be close. This is how it works in life. People don't have to be that special in numbers. So if you have a group of 100 men, even if you're looking at something, we can apply it to crypto because it's a crypto podcast, and you like the word perspicacity. So yes,
that's a great word.
So let's use it. Your perspicacity is amplified.
It's 5.
It's amplified. Yeah. Perspicacity is amplified by the number of people who are all looking for the same thing. Look at lemmings, right? They all look in different directions for the herd. Most people are lemmings. Most people are not lions. I'm a lion, let's say. I still have a pride, right? But lemmings need people more than anything. If you're a normal person, the number one thing you need is brotherhood. because you're a fucking lemming. You don't stand a chance. You need a bunch of people looking in different directions and try to check which crypto coins coming, which vaccine they're going to make me take. Because you're a little dumbass. You haven't got any weapons. You're a total nobody.
Yeah.
So if you think you're going to get through this world by yourself, you don't stand a chance, because even enough hyenas can kill a lion when it's on its own. This is the reality of the world. So you need to have brotherhood. Brotherhood is everything. It's always been everything. Brotherhood has been the basis of my life with my brother, my biological brother, and my best friends. I still live with my best friends to this day. I've had women try and psyop me out of it. Why do you live with your friends? Because they can fight and I can trust them. Why do you want me to live with you? So I can buy you shit. Is that it? Oh, you want to sit and watch TV and me buy you gifts? Is that what you think that's appealing to me? And I can sit around dealing with you? No, that's not appealing to me on any level. They can fight and I can trust them. In any scenario, police raid, Albanian raid, Serbians raid, whoever comes with the AKs, we're all ready to die. You'd just be screaming and running the opposite direction, you're no use to me in the brutal realities of the world. I don't want to live with you. I want to live with them.
It is a brutal reality.
And that's the reality of the world. You're always going to be more competitive with brotherhood on your side. You're never going to be competitive as a lone wolf. It doesn't matter how good you are. You'll just be outnumbered and destroyed. So absolutely, you can't be rich without brotherhood. More interestingly, you can't be poor without brotherhood. How the fuck are you going to be a brokey without brotherhood? That's even worse.
Yeah, low key.
Well, there's strength in numbers, right? You can go to the poorest countries in the world. They have the most kids. Why? Because one of them might make some money. If they all beg, we'll have some money. Some of them will survive. Like, it's just strength in numbers, right? We can't have one kid in a village in Africa or in India. It's not how it works. There's massive strength in numbers. So you should be prioritizing your brotherhood. It's one of the quickest and easiest ways to get rich. A lot of my fans have moved in with their friends or moved in with their biological brothers and amplified their lives. It's not hard to work out that if you have 5 people pooling an income and you all trust each other, you can acquire assets quickly. You don't even need to have high incomes. Yeah. If you have 5 men pooling their assets,
anything.
Well, you can buy a Lambo, you buy a house, you can buy something that's going to generate profit. It's not difficult to do if you can find men you can trust. And that's the way society was until recently. Now men are separated. Why are we separated? We're separated because we're not as powerful. If you had 10 men living in one house, it'd be a lot harder to psyop all 10 to get the vaccine, because all 10 would probably unify around a table and say, are we doing this or not? If you have one guy, it's easier. One guy with a chick, even easier. It's even easier to get him because his woman's like, just do it. No, just do it for the grandma. Oh, okay. Men in groups are scary to the establishment because men in groups were resilient. Men in groups are, to a degree, I wouldn't say confrontational, but I would say that consequences seem a lot less real when you're with your boys. You go out drinking, you go out, you get in a fight, you don't care. You're with the guys. You're like it's something that we've evolved with for when we're supposed to go to war. Shoot us then. Fuck you. It's just inside of us. So they don't want us to be that way. So that's why they deliberately attack the idea of brotherhood constantly. They don't like the idea of brotherhood. They'll call it gay, or they'll say it's homo, or men shouldn't do that. You should live with your chick, and your chick's crying, I want a new car, I want a new car. And men just get dragged away from it. And this is a Western world phenomenon. It doesn't happen in other countries. I'll give you an example. I know a really good Islamic guy. I grew up in Luton, which is a Islamic town inside of the Islamic country of Great Britistan. And there you have a lot of Muslim people, right? And there was a Muslim guy I knew, and he worked in a chicken and chip shop, a fast food restaurant. He drove a Ferrari. So how do you drive a Ferrari working in a fast food restaurant? He said, well, I have 5 brothers, and we all pool our incomes, and we all live in one house. So, okay, well, are you married? He goes, yeah, all our wives live in the house, and they cook and they clean. They're all in the house cooking and cleaning, and us 5 guys are all out making money. We put our money together. We bought the house, we bought a second house, we bought this Ferrari, we bought that third house. And they all had very normal jobs. That's the Islamic mindset, right? Those guys were from Bangladesh. You find a Western guy. He grows up in his family home, and then he gets a girlfriend, and he wants to live with his girlfriend. So he disappears with his girlfriend. And then he's paying all the bills. His girlfriend doesn't want to work. She's on Instagram. She needs to get likes. She's a supermodel, of course. So she's getting Instagram likes. He's paying all the bills, paying rent, paying utilities, has to get a nice car to impress her, gets in debt for the car. Then his brother does the same thing in another direction. So now you got these 2 white young men paying rent to Bangladeshis, paying all their rent up, getting in debt, trying to impress women they're not even going to marry, sitting there in an endless debt spiral because their brotherhood's been destroyed. If those 2 men were to move in together and work together to own an asset, things would be different. So brotherhood is the bottom line to most things, and most cultures still understand this. It's one of the biggest ailments with the West is that we've forgotten this point. It's not about being rich or poor. It's about being a man as a whole. Brotherhood is everything. This is what we're designed, biologically evolved to be. You have, let me ask you another question. Because you live in LA and it's very interesting.
You been in LA?
mean, I've been LA, unfortunately.
Do you like it?
No. If you got in trouble, would you call your girlfriend?
Probably call my roommates.
You'd call your boys. Yeah. That's who you call, right? Like, what would you call your girl for? It'll be okay.
She would get a call.
I mean, you'd let her know you're fine, but you wouldn't say, get down here now. I mean, I hope not. I don't know, you're from LA, maybe. I don't know how it works over there. I don't know, probably. Maybe it's like, in my world, you don't call them when you have trouble because they can't do anything. They can't do anything. They can either say it's going to be fine when they have no idea whether it's going to be fine or not, or they can get panicked and scared themselves and add to the trouble. That's it. All my trouble, I tell my brother or I tell my guys. They know my trouble, not some chick. She can't do anything. So brotherhood is everything. If you got in real trouble, you'd call the boys. If you couldn't call the cops. And if you call the cops, you want men to come. A whole bunch of blonde chicks turn up. You're like, where's the dudes with the guns? Where's the machine gun? That's the reality. What's the bottom line? What's the true bottom line of reality and of humanity, of this civility we live under? What's the bottom line?
It's a war.
It's violence. That's right. Who can be violent? Men. This is the way it works.
You ready to talk about crypto?
You know, I'm going to be honest with you now.
Hi, what do you got?
Because you were honest with me.
I was.
My intention was to sit here and talk about everything besides crypto.
Okay.
Because I just thought, fuck him.
Yeah.
And fuck his crypto questions.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like, he thinks he's coming here for crypto. And he's written all these little pieces of paper. And
I didn't look at it.
Yeah, and it's just like, I can talk about whatever the fuck I want.
Okay.
But since you admitted you lied, I may permit you a few crypto.
You give me a few ones?
A few.
Was that a deck screener link? You're looking at that daddy chart right now?
I don't know what it said. What is it? 130 or something. I think it's one of the only coins that are up today.
It is. We were talking about it off camera.
Built different. Yeah.
All right. I got a lot of crypto questions, but we'll ask the important ones because you've... Here's my first question. My biggest question is you've burst onto the scene in the last couple months. It really feels like the last month. The Twitter content has been heavily focused on crypto and on daddy, so on and so forth. My question for you is, you have like very publicly in many podcast interviews, Andrew Tate videos, stated that you will never at any point endorse or launch a crypto coin. And if I'm like remembering correctly, I think there's 3 coins that have been endorsed, and then potentially a 4th, the one that's going to be launched, which we'll talk about, the real world coin. We'll get into that next. My question for you is just like, what changed?
Well, there's one person I don't want to make an enemy of.
Okay.
And that's God.
Okay.
And God doesn't like the lazy. Lazy people shouldn't ever really be lucky. He doesn't like the lazy. He doesn't like people who don't work hard for things. And my problem with crypto as a whole was not that it made people rich. I've been in crypto for a very long time. I think there's some guys on Twitter who did an expose of me, and they found some tweets on my old account where I had Pancake at less than $1, and I made...
I've seen the burner.
Yeah, I made a bunch of millions on Pancake, and I've been in Bitcoin since 3,000, and blah, 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 blah. So I have hundreds of millions of crypto, but my problem is not crypto as a whole. I actually love crypto as an asset, and I love crypto as a utility. If I spend large sums of money, I love doing it in crypto. It's much easier in the bank, especially in my current situation. My problem with crypto is that it instigated a culture which I didn't like. I didn't like the crypto culture as a whole because the culture was based on getting in early, which, I mean, I guess you could argue is a skill, but to a degree is luck. Gambling, rug pulls, staying anon, hiding like a little coward in a hole, like a little bitch. And just being a degen, laughing about how you're a retard. And the whole culture was just based on infantile, asinine. The whole thing aggravated me because typically in the real world, if you want to get rich, it's nearly impossible to get rich without learning lessons along the way, right? If you want to make millions of dollars in the real world, sooner or later, you're going to have to get staff, which means you have to learn to manage people and motivate people. You're going to learn how to fire people, how to hire people, how to tell if someone's lying to you about a vaccine. You're going to be able to learn things about tax code. You're going to be able to learn things about, no, it's true. You're going to end up needing an office. You're going to have to learn about real estate and leasing. Then you're going to need to learn about how to sell a company and present a company, or perhaps go to a bank and obtain finance and do presentations and do sales. You're going to learn all these things along the way, because money doesn't make a man. Money amplifies a man. So if you're a smart person with money, you become very smart. If you're an idiot with money, you become a real big idiot.
Yeah.
If you're a G with money, you become the top G. So if you learn things along the way to wealth, the lessons that you learn are amplified by the money. You live a good life. The problem with crypto is there's a bunch of people who would put in $10, pull out 600 grand or 6 million or whatever they do on a shit coin. They've learned nothing along the way. They've improved themselves 0%. They gambled, they pulled it off. But they know so little about life, they don't even take that money and reinvest it in themselves. They don't even think, okay, I'm now rich. I need a personal trainer. I need to learn how to fight. I need to learn how to speak. I need to learn how to present. I need to learn. They don't even do that. They just take some more money out and go back to the gambling. They don't learn anything about themselves. So I didn't like that crypto was making people rich without people learning lessons along the way. And that's why the culture was what it was, because the crypto culture before I jumped into it a month ago was a mess. I mean, I jumped into it and people were saying, this guy's got influence. And I'd scroll up and down his page for a fraction of a second and say, he's a fucking loser. Who listens to this guy? Who gives a shit what he thinks? He's a fucking nobody. A bunch of nobodies. And then a bunch of anons, a bunch of thieves, a bunch of snakes. The whole thing was a fucking mess. It was a cesspit. Once I decided I was going to fix it, I decided I had to come up with an idea that allowed people to make money from the things they should make money from, which is hard work, which is dedication. We can use the favorite word, which is perspicacity, paying attention. Word. People who actually sit down and dedicate themselves to something and who do the right thing and learn lessons along the way, who aren't anon, who aren't hiding, who aren't trying to rug pull, who aren't trying to snake others, who aren't trying to be deceptive, who aren't trying to get in first to use others as exit liquidity. None of this PvP bullshit, just people doing the right thing. I thought perhaps there's a way that I could revolutionize the industry by instigating a coin that would allow that to be done, which is what the real world coin is going to be. And I've already explained this, I think, on our last show, either yesterday or before. And I'm going to release a very detailed video in the coming days that explains exactly how it's going to work. But before I could do anything in the crypto space, I had to prove I was the king of the crypto space. So before doing anything, I thought, well, let me just come along and just start saying tickers and see what happens. I think the first day I was in my garden, making random videos on my iPhone saying tickers, billions and billions of liquidity moved all over the place. And I wasn't trying. I mean, I wasn't paying for advertising. I wasn't going out to stadiums. I wasn't organizing world tours. I was sitting in my garden on my phone saying I'm a or whatever I was saying, garbage.
Why do you have to say that one though?
Say the word, bro.
Dude, it's just like...
Pussy. It's because you're vaccinated.
You could go without that.
Because you're vaccinated.
You could go without that one though, you know? It's like...
It's because you're vaccinated. Real.
Dude, but it's just like... So you know I gotta cut it out though, right?
Cut it out then.
Like...
Pussy. So I'd say whatever I wanted to in my phone and things would move. I'd controlled the world. And I did that to build a degree of faith within myself in the crypto industry, but everybody knew I could do that anyway. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it was all completely calculated because I don't operate that way. It was, let me show crypto, I can do crypto.
I like that you say that, by the way.
No, because you make up plans on the fly, right?
And then you tie them back together on the back end.
Let me show crypto that I can do crypto. Okay, now I can do crypto. Now every single tweet I put out is making people rich. If I tweet about something completely unrelated, if I tweet about football, there's some coin linked to that team which pumps. If I tweet about cars, there's a coin for that car that pumps. Every single thing I tweet now is making somebody rich. And I don't want to go against God because God does not want the lazy, anon, loser, disingenuous, rug pulling, scumbag Jeet to get rich. So I said, well, if I have this much power, if crypto is now mine, if I control it in my hands, like Dalsim with his flames, then I need to use my power responsibly. So therefore, the crypto industry actually gave itself to me as a guardian. As a guardian angel, the crypto community came to me and said, Andrew, please take control of all of this. Save us from all of these morons and fix it. And like a damsel in distress, I sat there and looked with pity upon this pathetic industry run by dickheads and dorks and thought, fine, I'm going to launch a coin which is based on the things that it should be based on. Coincidentally, because I'm a genius and a very successful man, I guess God just gave me the good fortune of owning the largest online educational platform on the planet, university.com. So I thought, perhaps if I tie these two things together, because my school teaches hard work and my school rewards hard work, and we teach people how to make money the old-fashioned way as opposed to this gambling roulette bullshit, perhaps I can put both together and I can save the world, because that's what I've been doing my whole life anyway, saving the world, escaping people from the matrix. So that's where it all came from, and that's my plan.
So if the goal is to use crypto responsibly, doesn't that sort of contradict the initial start of just like tweeting random tickers to prove a point?
Well, the first thing you have to do before you're going to be responsible is prove a point.
Okay.
Don't you think?
But
this is an interesting thought experiment.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's have a little thought experiment. What do you got?
If the police want to be responsible and preserve society, and they want to do that responsibly, first they have to prove they have power. No?
Okay.
Like if the police turned up and no one knew who the police were or what the police could do, who would listen to them? Why are you wearing a stupid hat? Go away. I'm about to hit this guy. No, they have to prove their power first. They have to lock a bunch of people up, kill a few people, arrest some people, put themselves on the news. Once they've shown their power, they now have the ability to use that power either responsibly or irresponsibly. Please understand, everybody at home watching, I could use my power irresponsibly. I could go to some devs, organize a bunch of rugs. I could tweet some things, make a whole ton of money, and just be irresponsible.
Couldn't you argue what you did was irresponsible?
Well, I mean, I guess now we tie things into intent.
Okay.
Because what I just described there with the devs and rugging would be intentional.
I believe intent matters almost more than outcome.
Oh, absolutely. If my intent was to show I had power, which I did, my intent was not to steal anything from anybody. And also the point that up until this day, I've made no money from any of this. I wasn't making money myself. I wasn't pumping things myself. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of blockchain analysts who can analyze all this crap. I already have money. So this wasn't about money for me. So consider I made no money from it and my intent was only to display my power. Of course, some people are going to get rich, some people are going to lose money. That's what I was doing. But my intent was not to steal. My intent, most people inside the crypto community, I would argue 99.9% of them, if they had my power, would use it to steal. That's what they'd use it for. Anybody in the crypto community, any of these influencers or these other fucking losers and all these names I hear, these nobodies, if any of them had any genuine pull like I did, they would all just steal and rob, which proves my entire point about the industry in the first place, which is why it's such a fucking mess, which is why I've come into it. Why have I come into it to clean it up? Is it because I'm such a philanthropist, such a nice person? Not really. It's because it would make me a legend. It would give me social standing.
Don't you think you're already a legend with social standing?
Of course I am, but why not? Push further, right? You buy 59 cars and then you buy a 60.
What's like the limit? Is there a limit?
Of course not. When Alexander the Great was conquering Earth, do you think he stopped? We have Greece and we have Macedonia.
Well, you could stop at Earth. What's your Earth?
Well, I haven't got all of Earth yet.
Yeah,
I found this crypto community mess. I'm going to clean that up. Like I cleaned up online education, like I escaped people from the matrix. I'm sure when I'm 55, I'll be fighting something else. This is who I am as a person. I see an opportunity and I see the opportunity for people to sit around and say, you know what that Tate guy did? That was crazy. That's my motivation. I'm not selfless. I'm not doing this because I'm such a nice fucking guy.
For sure.
I'm doing this so everyone could say, wow, Tate knows what he's doing. That's it. Whether you like me, dislike me, I just want to be right. I want to prove I can do it. Here we are today. Daddy's up 73% in the last 3 days. I waited for the market to dump so that I could pump my coins because I said to my guys, I want one green ticker on the screen. One green, mine. Because I can do it. I can pump it again now. I could tweet something right now and double it. I can do whatever I want. Yeah. I have magic powers. Dalsim. And this is what's so interesting about the magic powers.
Okay, talk to me about the magic powers.
Because
what do you got?
Power lies where people believe it lies.
Okay.
Which is what we were talking about the police. We believe the police have power, so they have
Therefore,
power.
they have power.
When I was playing Street Fighter, when I was young as a kid, I was playing, and I was Ken, and Dalsim beat me, the computer.
Yep.
And the win screen came up. And Dalsim said to me, he said, my flame is but an illusion. It burns you because you believe it is real.
Ooh, that's crazy.
And I listened to that, and that stuck with me. I was only 7 or 8. That stuck with me my whole life. So everybody at home knows I can pump any coin I want. And everybody at home knows I can make a video or a tweet and change the entire market instantly from my phone. Everybody knows it, and everybody believes it, which makes it true.
Which makes it true.
This is the situation I'm in. Do I use that responsibly or irresponsibly? Or do I just bow out from the crypto market? I could just bow out and do nothing. But I've been stuck inside this country for 2 years now. I haven't been on a holiday. I'm a little bit bored. So why not? Why wouldn't I? It's not financially motivated, but it's also not selfless. I'm doing this because everyone's going to talk about it. You flew here.
I did.
Because of what I did.
Yeah. It was an expensive trip.
Oh, there you go.
Paid for the whole crew, everything.
Absolutely.
Wasn't cheap.
That's right. So I don't know which airline you flew with. They probably owe me a cut.
Yeah.
The Marriott should pay me.
Yeah, they should.
So here we go. We talk about affecting the world, right? Yeah. I have a bunch of gentlemen from LA flying all the way around the world.
Far.
Because I made a tweet in my garden. Yeah. Ha, ha, ha. And then you can look at this from a metaphysical level. Because then you look at it a level deeper, right? We're all servants to God. Nobody is above God. We're servants to him and him alone. But you could argue that he has some favorites, perhaps. There are men who can sit in their compound and say a word and affect the entire earth and affect the lives of many other people and affect money being moved around markets and affect people flying on planes and affect people being happy or sad and affect people arguing with their girlfriend or not and affect what a BBC News presenter says that night and affect, I mean, that's an interesting situation and scenario to be in. You'd have to be a very intelligent man to sit down and understand that level of power and self-reflect to the point to make sure you don't do anything which is genuinely detrimental to society. It's hard now. Yeah. You have to be careful with every single thing you say. Even when I say that word you don't like me saying, why am I saying it? Why do you say it? Okay, well, this is what we're talking about now. This is what we're talking about. Am I saying it because I'm irresponsible? Am I saying it because I'm half black? Am I saying it because I'm a dumbass? Or am I saying it because I believe that part of the matrix programming inside of the humanity that we're living in today is that certain words have been weaponized to the point that nobody can even hear them without feeling uncomfortable. Nazi is one of them. Holocaust. There's certain things you can't talk about. We don't live in a world of objectivity anymore. I could sit and say that Hitler was a bad person. I don't like Hitler. But he built the highways in Germany. The reason Germany has highways, Hitler built them. You're a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I don't agree with anything he said. I'm just saying that he ordered the construction of highways. You're a Nazi. People can't listen to you say that a road was built. I could say Hitler wore shoes. I wear shoes.
Those are nice shoes.
Thank you. It doesn't mean I agree with anything he says, but when I say that, will you say that you wear shoes like Hitler?
Well, I do wear shoes.
Okay, and who else wore shoes?
He wore shoes.
What's his name?
Hitler.
See, you're scared to say it. Why? It's an objective fact.
That's true.
The fact we can't say objective facts anymore without people getting nervous and afraid is the reason we're in the situation we're in. The reason we're living in a false reality is because you're going to go through life seeing things, knowing things, and afraid to say them. Because they've programmed fear into your heart to the point where you won't say what you think and see. So when I say that word, I have a past because I'm part black, but I don't say it because of that. I say it to prove to the world that it's just a fucking word. And if someone comes up to me and says it to me, I don't give a shit. I don't find offense in it. I don't care. And you could say it to my black family. They don't care either. It's a fucking word. If you're going to be that controlled by a word, you're not free from the plantation anyway. You're just enslaved by something else. So what I'm doing is challenging social paradigms. And I'm doing that to try and free minds. I'm not saying words to be crass. You're still looking at the code in the matrix. You're thinking so shallow. You think I'm saying things for shock factor, which I guess I am.
You didn't like that.
Well, no, because I am saying it for shock factor to shock people into understanding the reality of this world, not for shock factor for fucking likes. I can take a piss and get likes. I don't give a fuck about likes. So you're not thinking deeper than what it actually is. So that's the reason I say that word. So I have monumental global influence. I have to be very careful what I do with it.
For sure.
And when I jumped into the crypto space and proved my influence exists there and far surpasses any of these fucking nerds who are supposed to be somebody in crypto, I decided that if there was going to be any coins associated with me, they should promote what God wants promoted, which is hard work and diligence and brotherhood and teamwork. This is why I've said, you're not going to get rich from the real world token if you don't join my school. And when you join my school, there's a fitness campus and you better go to the gym and you better post your results. Otherwise, you will not increase your power level inside of the school and you will not benefit from the airdrop. There will be hundreds of thousands of young men going into a gym and training hard specifically to get the airdrop of my token. That's karma from God. No one can call me a bad person for putting people in good shape. That's the reason I put these things together.
Karmic retribution.
Karmic retribution. I
said it right too.
This is exactly it. This is the karmic retribution. And then you look at my life. Once again, how come I have this power? Why do I have the power to get people to fly across the world? Why do I have the power that despite the highest level matrix attack a man can possibly suffer, I still have money? Despite every single MSM article being negative against me constantly for over 3 years, despite a Romanian dungeon sitting with cockroaches and my brother staring at a fucking wall in the dark for 4 months, despite whatever they put me through, I come out on top endlessly. No matter who they sit me in front of, the best interviewers on the planet, I destroy them. Every single time they sit there with the indictment and their bullshit papers and they lose. The fact that everybody believes me and everybody likes me and nobody agrees with any of this shit they say about me. How have I done that without karmic retribution? Is that fucking luck? It's karmic retribution because I know I'm doing the right thing. You will benefit from my airdrop if you train in the gym. If you don't train in the gym, you're not going to benefit from it. There's no other crypto that will say that. Any other crypto is going to say, get in early, know some guy, lie to someone, snake someone, make a hidden wallet, a bunch of fucking clown shit. I'm not interested in clown shit. It would piss God off. The one thing I am not going to do in the world today is annoy him because I need him more than ever, which is why I haven't made any money, which is why I haven't rugged anyone. I mean, since I launched my coin, I think 7 or 8 celebrities have rugged.
Yeah.
Like 10 or 12. I don't even want to say names because they'll see it. Because everything I say, people see. They know who they are. And they're just rugging. There's no chance of me ever doing that.
All right, I pose you a question. Before we're going to talk about the real world token next. But on the topic of I'll never promote anything in crypto, you made a comment. It basically was like, even if I promote a coin and it goes up 100,000x, at some point, it will come down.
Correct.
There will be a student of mine, an Andrew Tate fan, that bought that coin. They lost money. I will never let an Andrew Tate fan lose money.
Well, here's where we have to differentiate because I've also said this on yesterday's broadcast. I said my loyalty is to my students.
Okay.
My loyalty is to the students inside of my university because I know they agree with my worldview and my creed. Humans, men especially, are tribalist. We are tribalism. Tribalism is what defines humanity. It always has. In the liberal West right now, we pretend we're not tribalist, but we are. We're still tribal. I have my tribe. The students who believe in me enough to learn from me are the ones I'm loyal to. They're going to get an airdrop for free. So they can't lose. Now, if you don't want to join my school because you don't want to go to the gym and you don't want to learn other ways to make money outside of crypto because you don't want to work, or perhaps you don't want to invest $49 a month, less than the price of lunch for an entire month because you don't want to sign up because you know you're going to have to do some work in there to increase your power level to get the airdrop. If you don't want to sign up and you just want to buy the coin when it launches, I don't give a shit about what happens to you because you're not on my team. My students are guaranteed to win because they get the coin for free. So how can they lose?
So even if you lost, it will balance out.
Well, my point is this. I can only be loyal to one team. There's no light without dark.
For sure.
What did we say earlier? You're not a hateful person if you love something. If you want America to win, if you say I love America, you're saying, whether you like it or not, that you hate China. Because there's no light without dark.
No light without dark.
That's how it goes. I love my students. I want them to win. Does that mean someone else might lose, but they're not my student? So you have to make a choice now. If you're watching this and you're a student of mine, you should say, let me ask you a question. Let me change the frame. The reason everyone loves Trump is because he's a nationalist. America first. When you say America first, he's saying other countries second, other countries last. We love him for that. Most people do with a brain.
Most people, yeah.
But he's choosing Americans over others. He's not choosing team humanity because those leaders we don't want. So if you're a student of mine, you can look at me as the leader of the project and the leader of the school that you're enrolled in and say, he cares about me more than the people who are not in this school. That should make you feel comfortable and say, good. He cares about his students and nobody else. That's why I'm going to win. If you're watching this and you're not a student of mine, you have to then make a decision. Do I believe in Andrew enough to become a student of his? Or do I think he's a liar? If you think I'm a liar, don't join. It's fine. If you believe in me and you believe what I'm saying, then join. And you're on the right team. You have to make a choice. The world is war. It's endless violence. Who is right is the team that wins. If my team, in a year from now, have made endless money, if we had a multi-billion-dollar project and they were all airdropped it for free, and the school's bigger than it's ever been, and everyone's making money and it has endless utility, which I've implemented because I also have the ecosystem for utility, and they can stake it, and profits from the real world's being paid back to them, and everyone's driving Lambos, were we right? Well, we won. What else is it about? Yeah. And if you're some dickhead who wasn't inside of my school and sat there and go, well, I had the choice to join, but I didn't believe, but now I believe, and then I bought the coin at the top, and then I lost some money. Fuck you. Well, you're a dumbass. I don't have any time to be worried about dumbasses. I have enough real problems in my own life than to concern myself with dumbasses. So to answer your question, I have loyalty to my students, and my students will never lose because my students believe in me. And power is loyalty, and loyalty is power. And that is why I understand I must be absolutely loyal to my students. I have an obligation to them. Despite the fact that I may be the powerful one, I still have an obligation to them. That's what the problem with the world is today, is exactly that. The powerful do not feel an obligation to their constituents anymore. Any political leader in the West, does not wake up and say, I have to do what my constituents want.
Do you think it used to be that way?
Of course it did.
And what changed?
Well, it changed. A lot of things changed. I have to be very careful what I say, but they used to have repercussions for their actions. And now they don't. And then you understand when you look at the system deeper, or you're unfortunate enough to see the system at the level I've seen it, you realize they don't work for you. They use you as an excuse and they tell you what you want to hear so they can get into power. And then they end up working for the banks and the money and the control. So you're sitting there saying, why are they not doing what I want them to do? I am their constituent and they're my representative. They don't represent you. They represent a bank somewhere. They represent the large pools of finance. This is the reality of it. But in days of old, the leaders of armies would charge first on their horse. Now they sit back, right? They sit in Congress and they send other young men to die while their son stays home, and they stay home. But they send other young men to die and they talk about patriotism and how important it is. And they send young men to go get blown up in a ditch. Anyone who still falls for that is heavily psyoped. This is why psyops are so dangerous. If you're stupid enough now to go fight in the American army to defend banking interests, you're a dumbass. But if you're going to go do it, then go do it. I mean, some people can be psyoped. Goodbye. Do it. But in days of old, if the leader of a country wanted to go to war, he had to go to war first.
First, yeah.
Which is also
That's crazy.
But this is also one of the reasons I have so much pull. This is what the Matrix doesn't understand about me. They sit and say, we have to destroy the influence of this man by destroying his life. The harder they try to destroy my life, the better my influence is, because I'm leading first. Mm-hmm. I'm leading first, head charge. Mm-hmm. I'm the one going to jail in the worst jails in Europe.
Your fans aren't going, you're going to jail.
My fans are going to jail. I'm going to jail. So they're like, Andrew he's legit. That's the difference between me and everybody else, because everyone else would be sitting at the back somewhere and say, hey guys, you go to jail, you go tell the truth. And I'm not doing that.
You're the one doing it.
I'm the one doing it.
Interesting. So I never thought about that.
But this is the number one problem with the world today, what you just highlighted. This is the number one problem. If we had leaders who were accountable to their constituents, the entire world would be a different place, but we don't. We have leaders who are accountable to hidden shadow power structures, which is also, perhaps if I had to self-analyze, we were doing a psychotherapy session, I would analyze all the things I hate about the world. Because please understand, I've transcended through all the different echelons of experience. I grew up in a single mother, government housing, to being a billionaire and hanging around with the most famous and well-known people on the planet. I've seen every single level. I've seen it all. And when you go through it all, you realize the level of deception people are living under. Everything is a lie. The judicial system's a lie. The financial system's a lie. The medical system's a lie. Everything's a lie. Elections are a lie. Money's a lie. Everything's a lie. So I guess you either buy into that and allow your soul to be corrupted and be glad it's a lie because you benefit from the lie, or you do what I've done, which is feel a natural aversion and uncomfortable feeling around lies. So when I see the crypto market and the crypto space for what it is, which is this cesspit it's a cesspit of deception. You have a whole bunch of liars, Telegram groups and anons and just rugging each other and promises and lies and fake projects.
Isn't that just like modern society though?
Well, exactly that. Exactly. But isn't that everything I'm against? So this is the exact point. Valid. Was I naturally, you're asking why I insulted crypto all the time. I just saw it for what it was. It was a fucking mess. Now I have an opportunity to do something different, so I'm going to do it. Of course. If I had an opportunity to do something different inside of politics, you think I wouldn't do it? Of course I would. But they're not going to let me anywhere near a ballot box because they know I'd win. So they'd kill me first. Yeah. Because if you're going to cheat in a basketball game, as we said earlier, you're not going to let Andrew Tate be in charge of a country. The country will do far too well. Which is why they're trying to put Trump in jail.
Would you want to be in charge of a country?
Well, this is why they're trying to put Trump in jail right now. Why are they trying to put Trump in jail? Because they know they can't buy him, and they don't want anybody in charge who doesn't listen. Because the president isn't in charge of anything.
How did they let him get in the first time?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I'll answer it. I think it was an anomaly.
Really?
Of course. The press and the newspapers, everyone was saying he had a 1% chance. Hillary was supposed to win. They probably rigged the votes a little bit, but not too much. And the press have already said it's a foregone conclusion. And we said he's racist. And we said he grabs girls by the pussy, so it'll be fine. And when he won, they were like, fuck. Can't let that happen again. Get new voting machines, someone. They changed it all. Biden won. So what's going to happen this time? I don't know. I mean, we all know what the outcome should be. But then you have to ask yourself a question. And I'm not insinuating anything. I'm just asking questions as an adult. Mm-hmm.
If you're allowed to do.
Of course. If the American empire will drone strike people at random, which has been proven they will do. Mm-hmm. If they'll kill people with impunity, which we know they do. If somebody came into power which would damage the shadow figure's influence over the systems they've controlled for a very long time, would they let him live long enough?
Damn, you think they're going to kill him?
I'm asking a question. I don't know.
Did they assassinate John Kennedy?
Well, assassination is a weapon in everybody's arsenal. including yours.
Yeah.
I mean, we're humans, right? If somebody did the wrong thing to you, it would cross your mind.
Let me ask you this.
So no, true or false?
Yeah, true.
Okay, so
at some level.
All right, so
you could get there. I could get there.
Okay, so then you add in capability. The number one thing that would stop you assassinating somebody is your lack of capability, because you'd sit and say, well, if I do it myself, I'll get caught. And I don't know anyone else who can do it. But let's say you had capability.
Push a button.
Let's say you had a button and you know you get away with it.
Damn.
Would you kill somebody?
That's a crazy.
For the rest of your human years. I mean, you've had the vaccine. You got 10 years left. For the rest of your 10 years.
Do you really think that's true?
Don't look for reassurance from me, sir. You have to look at reassurance from God. You made the
smiled
decision.
when I said it, so I feel like
you better start praying.
I've been praying, bro.
Yeah, you need to.
Yeah.
You need to. But the point I'm making is, if you had the capability without repercussion, it becomes far more tempting. No?
For sure. I mean, for sure.
Well, that's.
All right, let me ask you this.
Which is also, I'll tie it back into crypto, because I can tie it into anything, because why not? That's why everyone's rugging. That's why everyone's lying. That's why everyone's deceiving. That's why everyone's being a crypto influencer, even though they have a fucking terrible track record of promoting dickhead celebrities in their rug pulls. That's why because there's no accountability, because the place is so snaky and so deceptive that the crypto market is so pathetic. And it's pathetic. These men are so honorless.
It's in a weird place.
No, it's not weird. It's pathetic.
It's awkward.
They're so honorless.
It's in a transition phase.
Yeah, you can call it that. They're so honorless that they'll sit there and watch someone steal from them, and watch someone rug pull, or watch someone promote a scam. And the next time he promotes a scam, go, he's going to promote a scam, but other people will believe it's a scam. So if I get in and out quick enough, I can make money on the scam. Yeah. They don't even sit and go, this guy's a scammer, fuck him. They all just follow the scammers and try and out-scam the other people. It's a fucking mess.
That's a crazy statement, because there's some truth to that.
There's absolute truth.
Yeah.
They don't even have, we talk about karmic retributions.
Such a good term.
No,
it's so good.
Of course. I don't give a fuck if I can make $100 billion on some OnlyFans girl's
That's a big number.
Sure. On some OnlyFans girl's coin. I wouldn't do it, because I refuse to let some OnlyFans girl be the boss of me long enough while I don't care if my money's in and out. One soul becomes 100 billion in 3 seconds. I can't do it. No, that shit is haram. I'm not going to just promote some whore's coin.
It's like butt sex coin.
Yeah. But these honorless crypto guys, I can make some money. And they think that the money won't come tainted. It comes tainted. There's karmic retribution to that money. You've made money on some dumb shit, which wasn't based on any kind of honor or hard work, wasn't based on brotherhood, wasn't based on any of the things I'm talking about what my coin's gonna be based on. And you think you're gonna take that money and you're not gonna pay the price for it? So there's a reason why when you spend that money, you feel fucking sad inside.
So let me ask you this,
because God dislikes you.
I believe the statement that like dirty money comes with the karmic retributions. But my question for you is, how is it different buying butt sex coin than RNT? Like what, because I understand that it's sort of, you have these values and these beliefs, but this is just some like random coin you already promoted.
You already answered.
But it's not your coin. It's just some like random.
Of course it is.
Or like Roost. It's some like random coin that you promoted.
But you already answered. So let me answer the RNT one.
Okay.
You already answered.
How did I answer it?
Because you said intent.
Okay, but what if OnlyFans coin had good intent?
Well, how can you have good intent by promoting degeneracy? And how can you have good intent by promoting butt sex?
But you... Okay,
whereas me promoting a word which can be used to shatter the social paradigms of the human mind, the intent is different.
Yeah, but if your intent is chaos, how does that make it better than OnlyFans girl with degenerate? What's the difference between chaos and degeneracy?
That's a good question. But
there's a lot of synergy there.
No, you could say that. But I wouldn't say it's exactly the same thing.
I didn't say it was the same thing, but it's fairly...
Well, I would say that chaos opens the doors for the possibility of degeneracy, but it also opens the doors for many other things. Chaos is opportunity, but degeneracy is a path within itself. You can have a chaotic society and degeneracy can seep in. But you can also have a chaotic society and a God-fearing society.
Valid.
Could grow from it.
Valid.
So chaos, perhaps you could say, is the petri dish, and degeneracy is perhaps the bacteria on top of it. Perhaps.
Valid.
But you're saying, what's the difference between butt sex coin and real nigger Tate?
Dude, you kill me with that. You kill me. You can't even say it with a straight face. You kill me with it.
Because you get so upset by it.
Because you kill me with it.
But you need it more than ever.
Well, I'm just thinking about how many clip my editor. I got to set timestamp these.
You need it because you're afraid.
I got to timestamp. You know, I got to timestamp these.
Fucking vaccine.
I got to timestamp these and fucking clip it out.
Like a cow.
Every single one.
That's why you need it.
You can't even say it with a straight face.
Yeah, because I'm not scared.
You can't even say it with a fucking straight face.
I'm laughing at how afraid you are of a word. You won't even admit you wear shoes.
God.
Because you're scared.
I said I wear shoes.
Scared of some dude who died in 1945.
I said I will fucking wear shoes.
You're living in fear. He's been dead 9 years.
Ah, man, you kill me. Go ahead, though. Finish. You forgot the point.
I didn't forget the point. The point is the intent behind that, me promoting that word, was to try and free people's minds from the matrix. And the intent made it a much better idea than promoting butt sex coin, because I don't think butt
They're similar though.
Well, no, it's not similar at all. Trying to free people's minds from a paradigm and remove fear for a word, I believe to a degree is noble. Butt sex, well, I mean, butt sex has literally no purpose at all.
Is butt sex wrong?
Well, I don't think it's purposeful. I think it's hedonistic.
Do you engage in butt sex?
No, of course not. Okay. But do we, I mean, I let you ask the question because it was funny.
I had to ask it.
It was funny.
Okay.
But it's hedonistic. And hedonism is one of the...
It does serve no purpose.
Well, hedonism is one of the largest problems we have with society today. I can go down now how you're supposed to live a life of duty and honor and only do the things that you do because you're supposed to do them, not because they feel good. People wake up in the world today now and say, I want to do what feels good, which is the path of hedonism. But often you're supposed to do the things that don't feel good. It doesn't feel good to eat right. It doesn't feel good to train in the gym. It doesn't feel good to tell the truth. It doesn't feel good to be dutiful, etc. It doesn't feel good to stay on the Titanic and die so the women can get off. It doesn't feel good, but you're supposed to because you're a man. But men have become hedonistic. You can't reproduce and make beautiful children from butt sex. So there's no reason to do it with a man or a woman, truthfully, with either one. But I don't know. You live in LA, so perhaps...
No comment on that.
Well,
I live on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Everyone seems to think it's great for some reason. I think it's... I mean, if you're having butt sex with girls, you're basically gay to me. I don't see the point.
You think that's gay?
100%. There's loads of ways you can have gay sex with a woman.
What are the other ways?
Condom's pretty gay.
Really? I feel like condom is safe, though.
Can't make kids with that. What's the point of having sex when I'm making children?
It's
Well, 'cause it feels good on your pee-pee. Is that why you do it?
So you're telling... Wait, let me ask you this. Hold on.
It feels good on my little
Let me ask you
pee-pee.
this. So you're saying you only have sex with intent to make children?
I say I only have sex with the possibility to.
Have you ever worn a condom? Don't lie. I didn't lie to you, Andrew Tate. Don't lie to me.
I think when I was 16 or 17.
Okay. So that's a yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I like that we have this like open relationship.
Of course. Well, no. Careful how you phrase.
You know what I meant. You know what I meant.
Well, we should-
honest relationship.
the thing-
honest friendship.
Well, this is unique for you because you're a liar, but I'm honest all the time. I'm always honest. So
You had to think about it though.
Well, I'm not only honest with you.
You paused and like.
I had to pause to think about it to make sure I was being honest.
Okay. That's valid.
But I'm not only honest with you. I'm honest all the time.
I like
you're perhaps only being honest with me because you just lie through all your other podcasts. I don't know. I've never watched your stuff ever. I have no idea what you say. I've done no research.
But you read my tweets.
I read you insulting me.
You read my tweets.
People say, look at this dickhead. He's saying bullshit. Why are you doing a podcast with him? I mean, that gets sent to me. Yeah.
I like where this is going.
Why?
I have a serious question for you though. Here, because you do interest me. I'm like less interested in what you do. I'm more interested in like why you do what you do. Here's my question for you is like, all right.
What would you do in my position? I'd rather hear that before you ask a question.
In what sense?
Okay, you're a billionaire. You're stuck in Romania. You're facing a judicial process for garbage. You have monumental influence, probably the most influential man alive amongst young men.
Arguably.
You can name someone else if you want. Let me know.
Keep going.
Okay, I thought so. And you're extremely powerful in many different realms, and you're a good speaker, and you can make people understand why you think the way you think. What ideas would you be pushing? What things would you be saying? What would you be doing? What else should I do?
Well, I'll tell you what I think I wouldn't do, which is why I'm interested, is launch like a massive red target for more governments to come after me while I'm already on trial. And so here's my question. Let me finish it.
I'd be a coward.
Here's my question.
I wouldn't put a target
it's like,
on my
all right,
head.
You're top G, self-proclaimed billionaire.
What are you afraid
Listen
of?
to me. No, let me.
You're living your whole fucking life
finish.
afraid they're going to
Let me finish.
You're a fucking coward.
Let me finish. You're Andrew Tate, top G, ex-kickboxing world champion, reality TV star, self-proclaimed billionaire, 59 supercars. You kind of have like anything that you would want to have. And you're in the middle of this trial, right? Like, I think you always live with a magnifying glass over your life, but right now more...
It's the sword of Damocles.
Right now...
Do you know the story of the sword of Damocles?
Can I finish it or no?
No. Do you know the story of the sword of Damocles?
Dude, I had the whole clip.
Don't care.
You fucked it up.
Don't give a fuck. Do you know?
Are you dodging when I'm asking because you don't want to answer it? I'll let you tell the story, but just say, are you dodging
I'll answer your question.
Are you dodging it though?
Absolutely not. I don't even know what it is, but I'm sure it's stupid.
Okay, ask.
No, ask me the question. Come on,
tell the story.
It'll be more interesting.
Tell me the story.
It's the sword of Damocles.
I want to hear the story. Yeah, go.
You don't know the story of the sword of Damocles?
I'm about to. What do you got?
I'm not going to tell you. You can look it up.
Dude, tell me the story.
Continue with your question.
I like story time with you though. Tell me. Give me like a high level, like a quick.
You can look it up.
Give me like
you have a phone?
Give me like a chat. I don't use my phone during interviews. I'm respectful.
Continue with the question. Come on, let's go.
All right. Well, you threw me off,
Start
dude.
again. Be a professional. Go.
Fuck. All right, here's a question. Is like, but I don't want to like compliment
Start
you
again. Be a professional.
But I have to compliment you and talk about the supercars again. All right. Here's a question. Is
I'm listening.
I couldn't tell.
Go.
I couldn't tell.
Go.
All right, here's a question. You're in a position of power that you're in, right? Self-proclaimed billionaire, Andrew Tate, top G. You kind of have everything you have. Right now, more than ever, there's a magnifying glass over everything you do. You have
The sword of Damocles.
Dude, tell me the fucking story. You have a magnifying glass over everything you do. People are watching you, picking you apart now more than ever. That didn't sound right, but you know what I meant. My question for you is like, why launch this coin right now? Like, why do this now? And I know you're an agent of chaos, you're a genie, all these things, but like, what is the upside here? If it's not for money, if you haven't made any money from this, it's not to gain influence because you already have influence. It's not, if it's not for financial influence, network power, like what is the point? Why launch this coin?
You know,
because you're kind of just setting yourself up for failure here, if I'm being honest.
How am I setting myself up for failure?
Because I
understood the question until you said that thing.
Because I don't really see like a positive outcome here. Like,
no, I'm setting myself up for. I'm adding the possibility of risk to my life.
You are adding risk, but
I'm not setting myself up for failure.
Okay, let me rephrase it. You're adding risk, but usually you go risk to reward, right? You take on a certain amount of risk for an X amount of reward. But I guess my question is, what is the reward? Like, what is the best case scenario reward?
That's a better question. That's a better phrase.
If I didn't re-ask it the first time, but go ahead.
You know, I often wonder.
Okay.
You're born on the fields of Mongolia somewhere amongst the wheat, and you learn to ride a horse, and you drink milk from the yak, and you learn how to fight, and you become a good archer, and then you put your group together and decide to fuck with the people near you, and you start conquering lands. Then what you do is your daughters, you marry them off to the leaders of these foreign lands, so they become like part of your family. So you integrate them. So you go to the kings that you conquer and say, you can stay king, but you'll marry my daughter, and you're the king, but I'm the real king, and you'll obey me. And you get a larger and larger empire by horseback, and you ransack places very far away, like Iraq. And with this huge empire, I wonder what makes you want to still try and siege a city like Vienna, because Vienna in Austria is extremely far from Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia, but you're just Genghis Khan, aren't you? So you have all the land you could possibly ever have. You'll never see all the lands that you own. You can't even travel that far. You're way back there in Mongolia, and you've heard a message which has taken 4 months to come to you by horseback, that you've reached a city called Vienna in Austria, and it's a walled city, and the Christians are going to try and defend it, and hundreds of thousands of men are going to die if you try to siege it. And you still say, fuck it, I want it. Why?
Yeah, why?
Well, why? That's exactly the question. You're talking about the code in the matrix because you're talking about the crypto coin. You're talking about the court case. You're talking about the target on my head and all these things. It's a much deeper question than that. Why do some men do what they do? Why did Elon decide to put rockets in space instead of just retire? He was rich after PayPal. Why?
That's fair.
Why did Alexander the Great need all that land? Why did men go to the Antarctic to try and cross the icy, barren, empty plains and freeze to death to just be the first men who did it? Why do that? You can't even put it on Facebook back then. Who gives a shit? Some men are built different, sir. Some men want to do it because it hasn't been done. And that is the reason why. They do not need much more motivation than the fact they will be first. There isn't much motivation to get on a rocket and be the first man on the moon, because the probability is you're going to die or get stuck up there and never make it back. Or even if you do go and you do come back, half the people on Earth won't believe you went at all. So why would you do that unless you're just that kind of guy? The fact that you will say to me, but it puts a target on your head, shows me that God will never, ever give you my position of influence, because along the way, you will have so many chances to be a pussy, which you will take, which will prevent you from ever getting to my echelon of capability and influence and power. Because if I gave a fuck about having a target on my head at all, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. And I wouldn't have the ability to do the things I can do.
That's fair.
So I don't care. I'm doing it because it must be done. There's an opportunity for it to be done, and I can do it better than anybody else.
But I could say this to you, is that there's a lot of things that you could do first. Doesn't necessarily make it right. Like you could be like the first person to kill 40 people in a presidential suite of a hotel room. It doesn't like make it right. Like being first and right doesn't necessarily correlate.
Okay, but launching a crypto coin which is based on dignity and honor, I think it's pretty difficult to draw parallels.
Well, it was a weird analogy. Okay,
I mean,
put me on the fucking spot.
Being a school shooter, I think that's a difficult analogy to draw. I mean, certain things. I mean, well,
but here's my question, I guess.
but walking across Antarctica, no one's done it. So
here's the question,
explore,
though.
Right?
Is like, but there have been influential people that have launched crypto coins and they've gone well. You're not the first person to do that.
Okay.
So the question is like, what? Like, I understand. Okay, I'm doing it because I can, but there's a lot of things that you can do that you maybe don't necessarily do. So I'm just curious. Like, I don't know. I'm just sort of like,
I would like to do a poll.
Okay, what's the poll?
Underneath this video.
Okay.
Am I making sense? Does nobody understand me?
I mean,
I just tried to explain.
You're making sense.
Let me start again. You're born on the fields of Mongolia. Amongst the wheat, you learn to ride a horse. You learn to fight. You get your guys together. You go and start to conquer the lands near you. What you do is you marry your daughters off to the kings. So you go there and say, you get to still be king, but you're going to marry my daughter, so you're part of my family, and I'm the real king.
So what's the psychology behind why Genghis Khan did it? Like, why does he want it?
Well,
just because he
okay,
can?
so now you're asking me. But perhaps this is a philosophical question which is too large even for the top G. Maybe some men are just built different. Perhaps, sir, if you want to keep it crypto specific, perhaps the entire world we live in was built by the unreasonable. Because men like you, who are scared of the target on their back and want to be reasonable and who are scared and thinking, oh, maybe it's not worth it. Men like you, and there's nothing wrong with people like you, but there's men like you and there's men like me. Men like you don't think, let's build a taller building. Let's sail the 7 seas. Let's explore the unseen land. Let's go conquer that tribe over there. But they're fierce. There's a target on our heads. They might kill us. They've never lost a war. Yeah, but we're built different. So we're going to go fight them anyway. The entire world was built by unreasonable people. The roads you drove here on and this nice hotel we're in was...
It is nice.
Oh, there you go. It was built by unreasonable people. Satoshi Nakamoto himself, was he a reasonable person? Did he sit and go, we have Swift transfer and it's fine? Or do you think, you know what, this is a different paradigm. Why would I invent Bitcoin? Because I can. I see an opportunity. It could be done. It would change things. Some people just do things because they can be done. In fact, everything you enjoy about the modern world comes from that exact imperative, which is born inside of the masculine realm. That's what men do. Now, Satoshi had to disappear because they put a target on his head. But this is the only reason we're having a conversation in the first place. This is how the world works, right? Genghis Khan got a target on his head, no doubt about that. That's the way the world is. So if you're going to sit and say, why would you take risk to push a boundary because it puts a target on your head and there's risk? Well, then why did Christopher Columbus get on a boat? I don't know. You tell me. Maybe he should have just sat at home with his money, getting blowjobs, having butt sex, and have kids. Don't take any risks. Don't put a target on your head. Why do that? You could just have butt sex and stay home. He had plenty of money for butt sex. You could have got endless butt sex slaves and just had butt sex like you do in LA. You could have sat around having a degenerate hedonistic life and nobody would fucking remember his name. Or perhaps he thought, fuck it. I'm going to risk my life and do something different. The target on my head doesn't cross my mind. I don't care. Because God's already decided what's going to happen to me. And I am simply one of his servants doing the best thing I can possibly do, which is doing my best to restore honor and faithfulness to a decaying society inside of a failing Western empire. So if I can financially incentivize young men to work hard, I believe God will favor me for doing that. And if I pay the price for doing that here in the physical realm and end up in a jail cell, I believe the karmic retributions are worth it. So I don't give a fuck. That is why. And if you don't understand that reasoning, then you don't also understand why Genghis Khan, worshiping whoever he worshipped, decided to set Vienna on fire. That's what some men just do.
Do you think you're going to go back to jail?
I've never thought about that.
Okay.
Which may sound strange to people.
Really?
Considering I'm in the middle of a court case. But I don't think it matters.
But you're prepared to go back to jail?
I'm prepared to go to jail, prepared not to go to jail, prepared to live, prepared to die, prepared to walk, prepared to swim. If I go to jail, I go to jail. If I don't, I don't. What am I supposed to do about it? I don't understand. I'm not a coward. I'm not going to run. If God decides I should go to jail, then I'll go to jail. It's fine. I've got a pillow. I've got a bed. What am I going to sit around and cry about it? I mean, my enemies want me to care, right? Because that's the process is to punishment. They want me to sit around worrying. Mm-hmm. Perhaps I'll go to jail. They want me concerned. They want me scared. But if I don't give a single fuck, then they can't really punish me, can they? Mm-mm. I don't care. I mean, if you're suicidal, dying isn't a punishment.
That's
So if I'm not scared of jail, then go to jail is not a punishment.
Suicidal
I
dying is not a
don't give a
punishment.
shit. I don't care. I'm Andrew Tate in jail. I'm Andrew Tate outside of jail. I'm glad I'm me. I mean, I'm at the point now where we have the dichotomy of making me a legend by sending me to a jail or making me a legend by showing that you tried to set me up.
You're kind of in a win-win right there.
Oops. So they lose. I mean, I'm really not concerned. I'm built different. I mean, I will go to jail and I'll do my push-ups.
I don't think I'm in the position yet that Genghis Khan was in as far as power, influence, experience, level of life. But I think, I don't know. I think kind of to your takes, like it's parallel to some men are built different. It's like you do some things because you can. You get to a certain point. It's like, I can do this thing. He can't. You can't. They can't. I'm going to do it because I can. I think there's elements of it that's like a test of your abilities. Like, can I do this thing? Somebody told you can't. Somebody thinks that you can't. Like you said, they have a massive army. They have 100,000 Christians that are ready to fucking battle. You're not going to win this war. You're going to spread yourself too thin. Don't do it. Okay, well, you told me not to do it. I'm going to do it. So I think it's say what you were going to say. But I think, I don't know. I think for myself, I haven't been there yet, but you get to a certain point where you do some things just because you can and you can't.
But this is the beauty of God's creation, right? This is one of the most beautiful things about humanity and the universe as a whole, is that if you're not the kind of man who would do things just because they can do them, you'll never be put in a position where you're capable of doing them anyway.
Is that a good enough reason to do them?
But no, it's not about good enough reason. It's about the only reason you ended up in a position where you could do them is because you're the kind of person who would do them. The kind of people who wouldn't do them don't ever get in a position. That's the beautiful thing about life. Because there's so many times along the way you could have chosen something else and you just never would have reached that pinnacle and level of power. Why do fighters win a world championship and then keep fighting afterwards? Well, they would never become world champion if they weren't the kind of person who will just continue to fight. That's how they are. So some men are just built different. I ask you a counter question, sir, because you seem confused by my motivations.
I wouldn't say confused.
Wouldn't it
curious.
Okay, but wouldn't it be more strange for me to be perhaps the only person on the planet who could do this in regards to clean up the crypto space? Because I'm the only person on the planet.
When you say clean up, what do you...
Build a coin based on the things it should be based on and make sure that people who get wealthy deserve to get wealthy.
Would you say Bitcoin already did that?
Perhaps. But to a degree, there's still some luck involved.
For sure. But
it's not based purely on hard work. I mean, I'm not shitting on Bitcoin.
Your coin would have some luck involved, though, surely.
Not really. I'm telling everyone, join the school and increase your power level. There's no luck at all involved. Increase your power level. Go to work right now. Join university.com for $49 and follow the tutorial on how to increase your power level.
I'm a student.
Good. Smart man. So I ask you a counter question.
Okay, what do you got?
Considering I'm perhaps the only person on the planet who could clean up the crypto space in this way, because I'm the only person on the planet with the largest educational platform in the world, monumental influence, not just influence, I have trust amongst my fans. There's a lot of people who people know, but don't trust them.
For sure.
People trust me because they know I'm not a piece of shit like everybody else. Plus the drive and vision and capability and finance and team to pull something like this off. To be in such a unique position and then think, I don't know, nah. And then just walk away. Wouldn't that be stranger? It's like being Indiana Jones, right? Because I'm in a very unique position. No other explorer can end up where I am. I'm Indiana Jones and I'm deep in a cave and there's a golden egg. And if I don't pick it up, nobody can. Only me. I'll pick it up and take it out to civilization, or I'll leave it undisturbed and no other explorer can ever get to it because they don't have the right ropes, they don't have the right experience, they ain't got the right hat. Why wouldn't I take that golden egg? I think it'd be much stranger for me to sit there and go, but if I take the golden egg, I'll owe taxes. Like a dumbass. And if I was the kind of person who would be saying things like that, I would have never got
to the golden egg in the first place.
In the first place. That's not how the world works. God knows exactly what he is doing. Karmic retribution is real. And he gives power to the people who he knows will use the power when they have the chance to use the power. Above things as simple as getting in trouble. He gives power to people and puts them in positions where they sacrifice their lives for the good of humanity.
Here's a question for you.
So I'm not, just to finish my point, launching this coin, okay, I might get in trouble. I might owe some taxes. I might have a court case. I might go to jail. I'm not sacrificing my life. I mean, to you, you talk of me as if I'm brave. I don't see any bravery in it.
Do you think you're brave?
Well, I think I'm a brave person, absolutely. But you talk as if what I'm doing is ultimately brave and I'm taking a huge risk. We're in Romania, 6 hours drive away is the Ukrainian border, and there's men getting blown to fucking pieces by drones for nothing, for $200. So, what, a coin? Fuck you.
All right, here's a better...
I'm going to take the golden egg because I can. I want you to understand me because you didn't seem to understand me. I'm taking the golden egg because I can, because it's in front of me and I'm the only person who can fucking do it. So it's mine. I'm going to take it. And if there's consequences, I'm still the motherfucker who took the golden egg.
All right, here's the question. Rather than why take the golden egg, why take the golden egg now if you could have already taken it for months, years on end? That's my question is like...
because as I explore the earth...
Because you could have taken it. You saw that egg 3 years ago.
As I explored
You knew the
earth,
egg existed years ago.
As I explored
and you
the
sat
earth,
there and you watched it. You did nothing.
There's lots of different eggs.
You stared at it. You looked at it. You analyzed it, but you didn't take it
limited mind,
for years.
Your limited brain. You think there's only one egg.
You just stared at that fucking egg, man.
Do you think I've been doing nothing for the last 3 years?
I didn't say that. But
Okay.
that's the egg, though.
I was getting other eggs. No, to you it's the egg because you're a crypto dork. To me, there's other eggs which are far more important.
Okay.
I have not been wasting the last 3 years, sir.
I didn't say you were.
Okay. And what's also very interesting is that on all my other explorations, on all the other eggs I have acquired on my journey throughout Earth, I've gained experience, which has made me an even better explorer, which will make me even better at conquering this golden egg. So if I hadn't gone to jail, I would be well known, but perhaps not as well known. And also, I would not have been able to prove to people at home that my soul is not for sale. If I'd never been to jail, people would doubt I'd sold my soul. But because I went to jail and I suffered so immensely, they know my soul is not for sale. So now they believe me when I say I'm not going to rug pull. So now I can take the golden egg of crypto easier.
But isn't Hunter Biden going to go to jail?
So, you think he's going to jail?
I said, isn't he? It was a question.
Is he in jail?
No.
Okay. So let's believe it when he's in jail, shall we?
Sorry. It was a fair comment.
So as I explore the world, you're asking about one egg because you're focused on one thing, because you still think of crypto and you think of money and all this garbage. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm interested in other things. I've been capturing other eggs, sir. I have a whole wall of eggs. That's why I'm the top G. That's how I answer your question. So you're saying, why haven't I done it sooner? I did it at a whim. I can tell you what I did that morning. I woke up, I pushed her off of me and I pushed her off of me. And I got out of bed and I had my coffee and I got a cigar and I went out to the garden and I said to Tristan, let's talk shit at crypto Twitter. And he said, all right. So I started making videos. I remember the video. I was smoking a cigar and the two girls were up by then and they were both massaging my back.
I remember the video.
And I was having the thing.
You called us vermin.
Coffee. Say again?
I said you called us vermin.
You are vermin. And I said to my brother, this will be
Takes
funny.
one to know one?
No. I said, this will be funny. And I smoked my cigar and I started. And then the journey begun. Very much like Indiana Jones saw a little cave opening. He thought, let's just have a quick look. Let's just see what's in the cave. Just pop my head in. Ah, this is interesting. And he started to walk deeper and deeper and deeper. And after a few days, he realized, there's a golden egg at the end of this. So now I'll continue. And that's how we ended up here. At the beginning, I just wanted to pop my head in the cave. But now I realize there's
But you liked what you saw in there?
Well, there's a golden egg to take. And I do have one space left on my egg wall. And if you or anybody else at home is confused as to my motivations for why I'm doing what I'm doing, then I guess you're just not built the way I'm built. To me, it's extremely simple.
How did jail change you? It's a little off topic. We were talking about jail.
Part of me misses jail, you know?
Really? That's a crazy statement.
I would argue right now that Assange misses jail too. I was thinking about this because Assange just got out. I'd argue that he misses jail a lot. It's amazing how the human mind adapts to its surroundings. And, okay, in some ways it's stressful, but there's no light without dark. In other ways, it's not very stressful. I mean, food arrives on time. Bed's there.
Is it good?
No. No rent. I'm good at finding the good in things. I'm sure. I mean, I'm not that old. I'm sure before I die.
How old are you?
37.
Oh, you look good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the vaccine, I have quite a long while left. I'm sure I'll see the inside of a jail cell again.
Okay.
And this time I'll...
So you have thought about going back to jail?
Well, this time I'll enjoy it a lot more. I think the possibility of me going is quite probable. I mean, I'm a very famous, well-known person. And I have lots of money and I'm going to be alive for another 40, 50 years. Will I see the inside of a jail cell even for just a day for some reason? Probably. But now that I've been once, I think I'd enjoy it a lot more because I understand it better. Just as we were talking about, once you get good at taking eggs, you can get better at other eggs. Now, I've done Romanian jail. I'm sure I'd be very good at easier jails, like America or England. That'd be a very easy jail compared to what I've done.
Which you did.
But, I mean, it was an experience, and that's what life is for. Lots of people are going through the world trying to get experiences, but they're so obsessed with getting the positive experiences that they never really experience life at all. People go through life and they say, I want to make money on a crypto coin, and I want to get rich, and I want to buy a Lamborghini, and then I want to get a beautiful girlfriend, I want to go on a boat in Miami, and all this fucking positive, but there's no light without dark. You could do all of those things, and you'd still be miserable if you didn't experience the dark. If you have not experienced true misery and pain, you'll never, ever be happy. Mm-hmm. So if you're going through life as a man and you're looking for experiences over comfort, which is what you should be doing, which is what the great explorers of the world have always done, because they weren't looking for comfort. Comfort's at home. Experience is out there. Yeah. All the sailors, all the warriors, they were looking for experiences. Yeah. So I love the negative experiences along with the positive experiences. I love jail because it's an experience. Is it a bad experience? Sure. But then my bedroom is beautiful once again, like it's never been before.
Oh, how was that first sleep back?
Well, but this is the point. Everyone's obsessed with the positive experiences. But nobody is chasing any kind of negative experience, which is why, I mean, I chose fighting, right? Yeah. But I believe every man should be choosing to do something which is extremely hard, which they hate, which sucks, because you don't appreciate life at all without it. The reason people are taking so many drugs, for example, because I'm fervently anti-drugs. I've never tried a drug in my life, never even tried weed. The reason people never.
You never smoked a blunt?
Never.
Wow.
Never. The reason people chase higher highs all the time, and the reason they're constantly taking drugs and trying to fuck new pussy and drink more alcohol and chasing higher highs all the time is because they don't experience any lows. Mm-hmm. So you always want a higher high, but I promise you, the higher high is fine if you balance it with a little bit of low. If you bounce down there for a week and come back to where you were, you're good. Constantly chasing higher highs is hedonism, which ends in one place. Mm-hmm. It always ends in a spiral, a downward spiral, right? And butt sex, like the whole city of LA.
You're obsessed with butt sex.
Well, hey, bro, it's your city. So you need to stay away from constantly chasing those things. You need to artificially manufacture some lows. I chose fighting because fighting will do that for you. It's hard. It's stressful. You're worried. You train all the time. You're exhausted. You win. You lose. You get hurt. You go hospital. There's a lot of negatives in it. But there's not enough negatives in men's lives today. But you're asking me about jail as if it's a good or bad thing, or if I'm worried about going back. But to me, all experiences are on an even level playing field. Whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, it doesn't matter. There's experiences and then there's comfort. And it doesn't matter if you're a good experience or a bad experience. As long as you're on the experiences side, I'm happy for you. Mm-hmm. My father died, which was a negative experience, but you learn a lot from it. It was an experience. It was a period of life where I was learning and growing, as was jail, as was sitting in the Bugatti meeting, as was buying a jet, as will be conquering the crypto space, as will be getting fucking stabbed when he finally gets hold of me and I can't block it with my hand. That's life.
How long ago did your father die?
8 years.
8 years. And what were you doing? And where were you in life 8 years ago?
I was here in Romania. I was in a hotel about to commentate on a fight show.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then an hour later, I commentated on the fight show.
What do you think your father would think of how Andrew Tate has evolved?
Well, I think he wouldn't be surprised at all, because I was built to be this way. And I was never built for all the positive, happy experiences of life. And he would know that I am representing him the way I should be, because people talk about him because of how fantastic I am. Nobody would talk about my dad if I wasn't me, and I'm me, and they want to know how I ended up being me, so they talk about my dad, which is why I'm going to live forever, because my son is going to be doing the same thing. My son's going to be so fantastic, they're going to say, but he's Andrew Tate's son. That's why he's fantastic. And he's not going to be fantastic through positive experiences. Men only become good men through negativity. Women are actually the opposite. Men who have been through a lot of pain are very kind. I would argue that when I see a man who's been through a lot of shit, it makes you kinder. You don't want it to be put on anyone else. Yeah. The biggest gangsters and killers and evil people sometimes can be the kindest. When women go through a lot of pain, they grow bitter and evil and mean. They don't grow kind. Men grow kind from pain. Mm-hmm. I think that the worst men on earth are the ones who haven't had enough pain. Those are the arrogant pieces of shit people. You're supposed to suffer as a man. You're born to suffer. Which ties back into my whole crypto project. You're not supposed to get rich off a fucking stupid meme coin like that without doing any work. You're supposed to suffer. The whole reason God put men on this planet is to fucking suffer. And the best men are the ones who suffered the most. I wouldn't be top G if I didn't suffer more than anyone else. You're a better man than everyone else if your life was a fucking mess and it was a hardship, because you're not what happens to you. You are how you react to it. And the best men on earth are men who have had their parents die, their best friends betray them, their girl betray them, thrown in jail, their money stolen, stabbed, robbed. And every time something happened to them, they sat there and they looked in the mirror and said, what can I learn from this? How can I stop this happening? Those are the best men. Those are the men respect. Those are the men women want. Why do women love scars? Look, they tried to kill him and they can't. That's why I want him. The best men suffered. You find a man who's never been through suffering and nobody gives a shit about him. Men don't like him and women don't like him. Men are no good without it. So you're asking about jail, and the reason I'm struggling to answer the question is because jail is an experience, and all experiences are involved in the tapestry required for me to become the best possible version of myself. If I go to Rahova jail, the hardest jail in Europe, for the next 10 years and sit and suffer in a room with cockroaches, I would argue at the age of 60, I might be a better version of myself than if I don't go. So part of me may not want to go, but part of me is perfectly fucking prepared to go. Put me in that fucking room, because there will be a version of me that exists in the future when it's all over and done, where I am better than the version of me would be if I did not go. So I'm unafraid of it. I don't care.
Do you have a son?
I have a few children.
What? You're not very public with your kids, are you?
They're targets.
Interesting. At some point it's unavoidable, or is that not true?
I mean, perhaps in the inevitabilities of life, lots of things are unavoidable, but that does not mean you accelerate their coming. I mean, perhaps you got the vaccine, fine, but we're all going to die. Would you commit suicide today?
No.
All right, so people will find out who my kids are. Do I have to say who they are today?
No.
So that was a logic fail, sir.
That was more so a curiosity.
It was a logic fail.
How do you protect them from that?
By not answering your questions. I don't know who you are. I don't know who's watching this. But I have to be very careful of my children because they are children.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take.
Yeah.
Going back to the crypto thing is on the celebrity. Actually, I have a couple things, but we didn't even talk about this. Is you sort of showed up like 2 months ago to crypto, and a lot of people think
I've been in crypto forever.
So let me finish the question. Is you showed up and pivoted like pretty hard, Twitter content, what you're talking about, podcast interviews, to crypto, and a lot of people think like Andrew Tate showed up with, Sexy Red and Jason Derulo, and you're just like another one of them. But I'm aware, and I think some people, but not most, aren't aware of like your extensive history in crypto. And I'm kind of curious, like, for as much as you want to share, like when, how, and like why did you get into crypto?
I think it was the first bull run. I can't remember if it was 2016. When did Bitcoin first go to 20,000? Was that 2016?
I feel like 2016, 2017.
Yeah, that bull run. I was in at 3,000 then. And then there was the COVID crash where it went back down to 4,000. And I put a public tweet out saying I'm buying 500,000 at that price.
Really?
Yeah, that's all on my old Twitter. You can see it. And then I'd been in crypto for a while. I've been in Ethereum since $200. I made the most money on PancakeSwap.
That's crazy.
I was in Pancake.
People don't know that. Like, why don't you just talk about that?
I was in PancakeSwap at like 50 cents.
Why don't you talk about it?
And there was a time when I was printing like $500,000 every 3 or 4 days from PancakeSwap. And I was sitting around saying, this is not real.
This is not real, yeah.
This is ridiculous. And it went up to $30, $40 something before I sold. Or maybe I sold at $18. I can't remember exactly. I sold a bunch of it. But I didn't talk about crypto because I didn't believe there was any lessons in it for people. And also, once again, I feel like I have massive responsibility. And I didn't want to say to people at home, hey kids, I'm a millionaire. My life's great. I bought a coin.
Yeah.
I think that's very irresponsible. Now, there's lots of dickhead celebrities who will do that, but I think that's one of the worst, most destructive things you can do to a young man is to tell him the only way to get out of the matrix is to gamble, because it's gambling. There's so many coins launched every day. It's effectively a gamble. You have to win the lottery. I think that it's much better to tell them that it needs to be hard work and et cetera, which is why I'm doing the project I'm doing now, because hard work is linked to it. I'm going to make sure that hard work is involved in the coin, because I refuse to tell people, just buy it, you'll just make money easy. No, you're going to work hard. You're going to increase your power level inside the school. But some celebrities don't think that way and they don't care, I guess. But me, I think one of the most destructive things I could do on my ascent was tell everybody that I make endless money with no fucking work. Now, I could say that I made a lot of money on Pancake because I already had $500,000 or $1 million laying around. I already had $1 million, $2 million I could waste. So yeah, I could have argued that point, but I just didn't think it was a constructive thing to do. I actually find it quite interesting how crypto people think, because I see crypto people when people ask them about crypto and I don't understand the way they answer. I've seen people who are like Bitcoin maxis and someone come up to me and say, should I buy Bitcoin? they'll be like, yeah, yes, you need to buy Bitcoin because the Federal Reserve prints money and it's all a scam and it's a deflationary asset and there's only going to be 21 million of them and their mining's going to stop. Da, da, da. And they start talking, trying to sell Bitcoin. And I don't get it.
Yeah.
When someone comes up to me and says, Andrew, should I buy crypto? If you want.
Yeah.
I've never been that guy to sit there and try and convince. I don't give a fuck if you get rich or not. And I don't give a fuck where you put your dick. It's not my business. Andrew, should I buy? People were coming up to me. Should I buy Pancake? If you want.
If you want.
Well, but will I make money? Maybe you might lose it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you make money? I made money. Yeah, I made a bunch. But look, do the fuck whatever. I've never been the guy trying to pitch crypto to anybody anyway, which I find weird about the crypto community. Actually, we can psychoanalyze that.
Okay,
I think it's just canned excitement. I think they're just excited for the possibilities of what could be. Everyone wants Bitcoin at $1 million, and it isn't happening. It's going down, and they're just.
You don't think it'll happen?
Well, I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm saying it isn't happening currently.
Fair.
And they have this canned excitement, and they're just taking that potential energy, and instead of putting it into something positive, like going to the gym or starting another business so they can make fiat currency to buy as much Bitcoin as possible, they take that energy and just direct it at anyone who will listen to them about Bitcoin. I guess they feel like they're helping in some way. Perhaps one more person will buy. Perhaps the price will go up. It's pretty gay, but people are gay. I mean, people don't sit and analyze themselves. I would argue that there's not a single Bitcoin maxi who sat there and thought, why the fuck did I just convince that old Chinese lady with no money that Bitcoin mattered? Why the fuck did I even waste 2 hours of my time? Yeah. Why did I do that? Yeah. Like, I've never been that guy. So even when I was in crypto making endless money, people come to me going, hey, I heard you know about crypto. No. Don't know anything. Not me.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Don't talk to me about it.
Because if you lose, you're going to cry to me. If I tell you to buy something and it goes down, you cry to me. If it goes up, you keep the money. Why the fuck am I talking to you for? Yeah. So I've never been that guy. So you're saying to me, why didn't I tell anyone? Yeah. Tell who?
Yeah.
Tell why. Plus, another point, which ties back into something I said earlier. In case you haven't noticed by now, I like to use circles.
Yeah, you're good. You do.
I like to always tie back into things I said earlier.
You're pretty good at it.
Well, I lay foundations for conversations at the beginning, so I can always reference them back. I said to you at the beginning of this conversation, if I had $1 million in a briefcase, I'd be concerned about someone killing me, right? If I was making $500,000 every few days from some fucking clicks on a Pancake website.
You're concerned. What's the catch?
Who the fuck am I telling? You think I'm dumb? Yeah. I mean, it's done now. It's done now. But you think I'm making that money and I'm going, hey guys, hey, look, I'm not from LA. I'm not a fucking dumbass. I didn't tell nobody. I'm from a different world. I'm from the world where people would sit around in dark rooms with no money and bright ideas. And you'd see someone post a new watch on his Instagram and you'd say, we know what he's wearing and we know what club he's in. That's from my world. I'm not the guy who's running around telling people how I make money. Things are a bit different now.
You do post your money though, your cars.
People know I have money.
Yeah.
But to this day, most people can't name how I have money.
How you have money, yeah.
And they know I have the school because I have to advertise it. But they don't know if I own the school or if I work for the school or I'm a marketer for the school or how the school works or the internal workings of the school. Yeah. Nobody knows if I have a property portfolio. Nobody knows anything. I'm not that guy because I've been in that room where where those people have got inside of that Astra and gone and sat outside that club and took that Rolex. Yeah. I'm not the dude who's going to be sitting around telling people how I'm making $500,000 every 3 days on a stupid cartoon fucking website. Yeah. I think I'd be a dumbass if I was.
So I have a double for you that I think is important. The first is like, explain to me the psychology of like an 18-year-old kid who threw $1,000 into some meme coin, like made $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. Like, what does that do to you psychologically?
Oh yeah, he's fucked. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen to an 18-year-old kid.
Can you fix it?
Well, only if you make him understand how important hard work is. Yeah. I mean, the best way to fix it is to grab him by his throat, right? And to beat the shit out of him so he learns that his money doesn't actually matter in the real world because the real world is violence. You beat the fuck out of him, he'll start thinking, shit, I need to fight. Now I need to protect myself. Now I feel vulnerable. I feel anxious. I feel afraid. I need to go to the gym. I need to train. That would fix him. Someone needs to kick the shit out of him. So that's the first thing that should happen because that's the real world. Problem is, if you have that kind of money when you're young, you're never going to want to work hard ever again. If you've ever worked hard ever at all, you're never going to end up with a real job, right? You just made $3 million from the sky. Yeah. You think anyone can tempt you with a wage or a salary or delayed gratification of going and studying in school and getting a 3-year degree so that later on you can get a $100,000 a year job? Never. All you're going to do is continue to gamble and hope you're going to pull it off again. So you become a gambling addict, firstly. Secondly, you're going to try and get everything through money. Because you're 18, you lack experience with simple things. Let's take women, right? He's never got women when he's broke. The men with money who were once broke and had women when broke are good with women with money.
Yeah.
But the men with money who never got girls when they were broke are fucking fish. And they get fished. It's like they get wheeled in and wrecked. 18-year-old's gonna be chasing pussy because he's got money now, but he has nothing else a woman actually wants and no experience. So she's gonna be fleecing him left, right, and center. He's also a robbery target. I've been in rooms. Motherfucker sitting there with no money, bright ideas. I've been sitting there. They'll see his watch and they'll see what club he's in. So he's a robbery target now on top of it all. Yeah. He's not security conscious because he's never been in those rooms. He's never seen it from either side. So that's the worst thing that can happen to a young man. He's skipping all the struggle, all the pain and suffering he's going to attempt to skip with money. He's going to end up suffering more in the end, but he's going to just lose. I think that getting rich when you're young as a man is probably one of the worst things that can happen.
Damn.
You don't want to get rich to your late 20s. You want to spend all your 20s broke. Broke, grinding, training, making girls like you for who you are and your fucking backpack. Being funny, being interesting. That's what you need to do. I spent my 20s winning world title fights and living in girls' houses they were fucking cooking for me. I didn't have any money. Yeah. That's how I grew up. Yeah. If I had money at 18, 19, I would have skipped so many experiences and so many hard lessons. I'd be a fraction of the man I am today. So I don't like the idea of kids just gambling and getting lucky. Yeah. Now, of course, that's an anomaly because the majority of kids gamble and lose.
Yeah, of course.
They gamble and lose. So then you have to analyze why are kids gambling on meme coins in the first place? And the reason for that is because the matrix is now so broken. Yeah. Our fiat currency system has become so corrupted.
Feels like the only way out.
It's the only way out. So you're saying to these young kids, well, you can gamble on a shit coin and have a very low probability of getting some money. Or you can go to school and get in debt and get a $100,000 a year job and be poor forever and be stuck inside the matrix. And then you're going to have to go to a job where you have to call a man a woman, and you're going to have to wear a pride flag t-shirt, or you're going to lose your job. Or you're going to have to get 15 COVID injections. You're going to lose your job and you're going to become a slave. Yeah. So they're going to sit there and go, well, I don't want to be a slave to the matrix. My only chance is to gamble. And another reason I have to gamble is because of social media. Because all the women I'm trying to DM, all the bitches I want to fuck are on boats. I ain't got a boat. They're in Lambos. I ain't got a Lambo. That girl's 18 years old. I'm 18. She's on a billionaire's boat.
What am I going to do?
What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And that's actually the beauty of the chessboard. You look at the game of chess. The king moves one square at a time. The queen just zips across the board. That's what women do. I know women through their affiliation with me. They drive sports cars, or they go to beautiful places. They fly on private jets. The chance of them achieving those things off their own back and intellect is fucking zero. So meet the right guy. Done. As a man, you can't just meet the right person. Here. Doesn't work that way.
Unless you're doing butt sex.
Well, maybe in LA.
I'm going to ask you the second part. Malcolm, you want to pull up a chair and jump on before we wrap? I do want to ask you the second part, though, because I know a lot of people in this situation now from crypto. And it's like, you made money for the first time. You launched some coin, whatever. You bought some coin early, you participated in some project early, had some early information. You made a couple $1 million. You never had money before. You don't really know how to move with money. How do you keep it?
Okay.
Like to the 18-year-old kid listening to this that just made $1 million for the first time. How do you keep it?
Absolutely. I'll explain that. The only thing you own is your soul and who you are. So firstly, I have an organization called the War Room, which is a global brotherhood. We have 4,000 members. So I'm going to tell everybody the answer. The answer is to join the War Room as soon as you make any kind of money, because the War Room is all about self-improvement. So the first thing you should do when you make money, especially that young, is invest in yourself. The War Room is one avenue, but you should get a speaking coach and you should get a personal trainer. And
speaking coach?
You should learn how to talk and articulate your ideas.
Yeah, I like that.
You should learn how to speak.
Nobody really says that.
Well, but if you can't make people understand why you think what you think, how can you get along in the world?
Yeah.
You should be able to think of an idea and succinctly and compendiously explain it to people so they sit there and say, yes, I agree with him. You should get a fight coach. You should learn to fight. You can go to a racetrack, be a race car driver, learn how to race. You should improve yourself. You should sit and say, what skills can I learn that I can carry with me? I mean, if you get good at basketball, you need a basket and a ball.
Of course.
But if you get good at fighting, you have it. If you're good at speaking, you have it. So you should sit there and make a list of all the things that you'll always have with you, and you should upgrade your character. You understand in video games to upgrade your character. You'll see that some levels cannot be beaten unless you upgrade your character. No matter how good you are, you have to level up your character to beat the game. Well, the levels of life are the same. You're not going to survive Romanian jail if you don't level up your character. You're going to end up preyed upon. So you have to upgrade your character. So if you get money young, that's a massive bonus if you have the right mentality, if your mentality is self-improvement. Now, if your mentality isn't self-improvement, if your mentality is what most of these people's mentalities is, which is arrogance, they didn't get it through luck. They got it because they're smart. They're so smart. They're smarter than everyone else. And they got it because they're so intelligent and they'll be able to do it again. And God loves them and they're great. Well, then you're going to see across the next 10 years how much God doesn't love you. When the only woman who will suck your dick eventually ends up cheating on you with your best fucking friend because you're a dork with money. Then you're going to see that nobody actually gives a shit about you and you're going to learn the hard way. If you remove the arrogance from your heart and understand you're not special, you made money the easiest possible way in one of the cultures or one of the periods of human history where it's easy as possible to make money. It's never been easier. Yeah. Making money in the 1980s.
How long does this last?
Well, exactly. But it's never been easier.
Yeah.
You're not a genius. You're not God. You're a dumbass who got in early on a coin with pure luck and gambling. Now you need to improve yourself and upgrade your character before you meet real tests in life because they're coming. Now, if you're too arrogant to do that, then you deserve what's going to happen to you.
All right, let me ask you this, and I'll throw it to you, Malcolm.
Sorry to interrupt, but you asked me how they can keep the money, and this is the final point. If they upgrade their character, they won't need to keep the money because they'll be able to make.
They'll be able to run back. That's actually a great take. I'm gonna clip that.
Whereas if they don't upgrade their character, they're going to be stuck in their bedroom, jerking off to Pornhub and gambling on meme coins for the rest of their lives.
Because you could, if they took it, they kind of did take it all from you. You could run it back.
Oh, you can't take everything from me unless you kill me.
Because
I'm Andrew Tate.
Let me ask you this: it's like pretty obvious in crypto and society at large, we're like really rapidly going towards this hyper gambling, just full blown as degenerate as it could get, right? You look at sports, every second commercial is DraftKings or FanDuel. They fund all the advertising, they fund the arenas, they fund the games. You look even prediction markets. People are betting on everything, every second, at all times. Every 16-year-old kid is buying meme coins, buying shit coins, gambling in crypto. Like, is it going to just go further and further and further down this like degeneracy, gambling rabbit hole? And secondly, like, what does that mean for the future of society?
Very interesting question, because the Western world now, the matrix is so broken, as we just described, that most young men believe their only way out is to gamble. When you gamble, whether you win or lose, you create no value. That's also one of the very interesting things we were talking earlier about. If you make money from crypto, you learn no lessons along the way. Mm-hmm. That is true. But also, another thing you do is you create no value. If I become a multimillionaire with a traditional business, I need staff. Mm-hmm. I feed people's families. I need a big building. I hire builders to come and build it. Now that big building's in that town, it needs more houses around the building, around my factory. We build more houses. I improve the town. We need to build new roads for the town, maybe a school for the town, maybe expand the hospital because my big factory is there, et cetera, et cetera. I have a positive influence on the society, on the nation, and on the families I feed. If you make a couple $1 million off a crypto coin, you've helped nobody. You've helped no one. You've fed no one. You've done nothing good for fucking anyone. You've just robbed a bunch of people of exit liquidity. That is it. You've done nothing good at all. And people do that and they think there's no karmic retribution, which is wrong. I actually have a charity, TatePledge.com, which is the most efficient charity on earth because 100% of the money goes directly to the mouths. Yes, because when I got rich, I tried to dedicate money to charities and I realized that they're all fucking thieves.
They all suck, right?
They all thieves. So I started my own. So if I'm going to give money in Yemen, I'll take a guy, send him to Yemen with a bunch of money. That's it. A flight, a hotel, and money. Buy food. Whereas all these other charities manage to get 15% of the money to the people somehow. It's a scam. So I have my own charity, TatePledge.com. I put up the links, the crypto links, when I was doing the RNT. That's all, yeah, and people dedicate a couple $100,000, which is nice. It's fine. But I put $20 million of my own money in every single year.
Really?
Yeah, completely. It's all audited. But I do that to allow people karmic retribution. You're making money from crypto. You're making money doing nothing. You haven't benefited anybody. How about you give some eyesight to some kid in Gambia? You've made money. You've helped no one. Give some kid in Gambia their eyes back. And they sit there and they just go back to meme coins. Pieces of shit people. This is the problem with the whole fucking space. Because they're helping absolutely nobody, right? But there's going to be karmic retribution for that. They're going to suffer the price of that, I believe. But that's the problem with the crypto space. Unless someone would come along where you had to do real things in the real world and dedicate yourselves to earn tokens inside of an airdrop. And perhaps you could benefit humanity at large. Perhaps. I don't know.
I love it. Malcolm, good to have you on too.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Question for you. Now that you're spending more time with the crypto community, are there any redeeming qualities that you've noticed or themes amongst the young men and women in the space that you'd see as admirable or positive? Obviously, they're taking a semi-untraditional path, right? They're not just going to work for consulting or sales or investment banking. They're trying to make it work for them. They're trying to make money. They're taking this alternative path, very internet native. Do you like anything about these crypto people, or?
Firstly, I don't blame them, by the way. I mean, I don't blame them for gambling. When I'm describing the problems with gambling, whether you win or lose, those problems are an objective fact. As we were talking about Hitler wearing shoes, it's an objective fact. He wore shoes.
You love that.
I go back always because I'm so perspicacious, I knew where this conversation would go. So I thought, let me come in and lay the foundations I can always reference back to because I know what he's going to ask and I can see the future and I'm a genius. I've been around. The point is, I've been around. The point is, I don't blame them for following the money. Crypto's where the money is. You'd have to be a dummy not to try.
Of course.
I mean, so of course, crypto's where the money is. That's fine. I think the mistake they make is that they believe it's all down to charts and luck and that it's not down to any degree of karmic retribution or God's will. I would argue, with no scientific evidence whatsoever, that if you're sitting there trading meme coins and you do 500 push-ups a day, you'll make more money. Now, people will ask me how, why? And I'll say, because God will like you more. And you may believe me or you don't believe me. That's up to you. But I would argue in between trading meme coins, if you did 500 push-ups a day and you avoided Pornhub.com and you drank water and you told your mother you loved her very much and you were nice to people and you didn't insult people you've never met on Twitter and you've been a good person, that you would make more money. That's my view. You can believe me or not believe me. It's up to you. But I think the problem with the culture is they think it's all down to just being an anon, being a snake, and jumping in and out of graphs and being on charts. And they don't think that this world has any magic to it. The world is based on things that nobody understands, including me. There's a reason why a car can crash and one man will die and one man will not. There's a reason why a plane crashes and someone dies and someone doesn't. There's a reason that none of us will understand, and there's karmic retribution in all things. So I think the crypto community has forgotten that, and they think they can just steal and lie and cheat, and there's no karmic retribution in any of this. So I'm not mad at them for trying to make money from crypto. I made a bunch of money with Pancake.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at them for being smart enough to see where the money is.
Yeah.
But they're too stupid to see that there's something real happening behind the code in the matrix, and that's the mistake they're making.
What is your take on anonymous influencers? Because you had an anonymous crypto alt.
Did I?
For sure.
I don't think
Allegedly, I was sent. I've gone through it. It was sent to me that this is Andrew Tate's anonymous crypto
Impossible.
alt. I'll show you when we're done.
Show me now.
I got a phone somewhere over there. We'll find it. I have it on the Wayback Machine.
Show
It's
me.
suspended.
Show me.
I'll show you.
I don't
it.
think I've had. Well, anon. I mean, everyone knew it was me.
Well, everyone knew it was you, but it wasn't.
It wasn't a crypto.
You didn't have like a.
account,
Well, it wasn't a crypto account, but it talked about crypto occasionally.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
Yeah.
then
My bad.
Then that'll be one of my suspended accounts because I was banned on Twitter and I had to keep making new accounts.
Yeah. Okay.
But I never had an anonymous specific crypto alt.
Right. Valid. But anonymous account that talked about crypto. But regardless, now that we know it exists or existed, what is your take on like anonymous influencers?
Well, I think that there's obviously a massive degree of cowardice to that. They're afraid of repercussion, which they look at someone like me and what happens to me and they're afraid. I often, we can talk about crypto and anonymous anon crypto influencers. I guess the primary reasons they're afraid of being robbed or they're afraid of the government. That's one thing. But I actually find the funniest ones are the right-wing ones, the right-wing white power anti-migration ones. It's very funny because you have these anon accounts who are saying, white power, we need to take Europe back. And Andrew, you're a fucking nigger. And then they insult me all day. And I'm like, bro, you're too scared to even tweet with your face. And you're talking about going to war with the fucking Africans in your country? You're such a pussy. You won't even tweet with your fucking name next to it. And you want to do something about the brothers on the corner? You don't stand a chance. They're the absolute cowards. I think anon is to a degree cowardice. So I always take what they say with a pinch of salt because they're showing from the beginning they're a coward, right? They're saying, no matter what I say, no matter how intellectual it is, no matter how smart it is, no matter how true it is, I am also a pussy. So I'll read it and go, oh, that's true, but you're a pussy. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's smart, but you're a pussy.
There's like a star next to it.
Yeah, there's a star next to it. You're a bitch. Yeah. So keep that in mind. And people are often very different when they don't have to put their name next to what they say. I mean, that's very easy to know. Everyone's a racist, tough guy when their name ain't there. Everyone's a big, strong, deport the illegals when the name ain't there. Everyone's the biggest crypto genius and da-da-da-da. I think there's a massive red flag with that. I think that if people, in fact, isn't it a bragging point or a positive point inside of a crypto project to say that the dev's been doxxed?
Yeah, generally.
Of course.
Generally, yeah.
Because everyone knows
who he is.
Because everyone knows anons are snakes.
They'll put their face on it.
They're
Accountability.
pussies. Yeah, it's a liability. So when I see anon accounts say anything, and the only time I really interact with them is on this migration issue, I just know they're pussies. I tweeted something the other day that went super viral and pissed off all the white people.
What's the tweet?
I said that the white race is doomed. I said the white man is over. There's not going to be any white people left because you've been cucked by your women into only having 1 or 2 children. And all the other nationalities will have multiple kids with as many women as they want, or at least one will have 5, 6, 7 children. Your populations are declining in real time. You've got open borders and you're being replaced. And unless the white man does something and starts having children instantly, you're going to be replaced. And they all lost their minds and attacked me, called me a nigger, and said that we're going to kick everyone out this country. We're going to do mass migration. We're going to close the border. The white man, the white man, the white man. And of course, nothing of that's ever happened. They all ran their mouths. And there was a bunch of anon accounts. And I sat there and said, you won't even put your name next to what you're saying. And I'm not insulting the white man. I'm part white. I'm just pointing out to you that your birth rates are collapsing in real time and you're being replaced in your own nations. The hill to die on throughout the largest period of human history was literally, and not just figuratively, literally defending your land from foreign invaders. And now you just invite them all in and they all just repopulate and live off your taxpayer money. And you sit there and go, oh, I don't have any kids. I'm not ready yet at 33. And then you meet one woman and have 1 kid and you think you're going to preserve a nation or a religion or an ideology. The white man's going to disappear and Christianity is going to disappear with it because no one's having any children. Don't be mad at me. I'm just pointing out the facts. Hitler wore shoes. What the fuck you want me to do about it? Don't fucking yell at me about it. Do something. And then they sit there with their anon accounts and call me racist names. But the fact that they're anon accounts in the first place proves I'm completely right because they are pussies. They're not even man enough to sit there and say, I'm 3,000 miles away and I think you're a nigger. No, they're scared for me to even know what they look like or know their real name, despite the fact that I'm trapped within Romania and they live in fucking America. They're cowards. That's what I think of anons. I think they're cowards. I don't give a shit about anything they say because they're all LARPers. Why would you be anon if you're not LARPing? If you're really the G, why not be the G?
Gee, that's interesting.
What are you hiding from? You know, because they're all rich, millionaire, Lambo, girls. What are you hiding from if you're really that guy? Oh, I just don't want clout. I want to be rich and not famous. Yeah, that's why you're tweeting. Shut the fuck up. Full of shit. If you want to be that guy, you wouldn't have an account at all. They're liars. Someone should grab them by their throats.
I've got a question about censorship.
Sure.
So I've heard you tell a story of like you waking up one day during your cancellation and like app by app, you're getting logged out of all your social media accounts.
Yep.
Of course, Elon has come back recently, bought Twitter. He reinstated your account and he's done that for many other people who are controversial. But Elon is not necessarily going to be the CEO of Twitter forever. It's likely that he will, be succeeded by somebody else or something will happen to him. And so what happens in that world? And second part of the question is like blockchains, a lot of the reasons why many people like them is because they're censorship resistant. Mm-hmm. So it's not a centralized database with the CEO. They can't just press a button and cancel people. So a lot of people in our sphere are like, decentralized social media, this is the future. There's not going to be censorship. What are your thoughts?
It's interesting because firstly, and this is going to be a controversial opinion, but I do understand why there is a degree of censorship. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been on the social medias with no censorship?
It is.
It's a bloodbath.
It's a crazy place.
It's nasty. Yeah. Yeah.
It's messy, bro. And you're never going to have the common person using them because it's just too much to see. Yeah. So you always need a degree of censorship. And then you go down the path of who decides how much, who decides what's right, who decides what's wrong. Then it becomes this gray area, which is very difficult to maintain. I think the only way out is through with these things. I like to think that even if I understand my accounts won't last forever, I can use them to wake up enough minds that when they eventually do cancel me, it can move enough people to a place where I can be found, as opposed to me just try to survive. I could come on Twitter and just be really meek and try not to get deleted. But I don't believe in that. I don't believe in appeasing the alligator because it's going to eat you one day. So I believe in coming out and swinging. Kill me then. So I'm going to come out swinging. And that's what happened when they deleted me from YouTube. I only had 600,000 subs on YouTube when they deleted me. And now I have 2 million on Rumble. So it made me bigger. So I also think that with this paradigm shift and the fact the pendulum has shifted, I think that getting canceled now is almost a badge of honor. And I think I was the first one to get canceled and get bigger from the cancellation. I said on one of my old podcasts with Patrick Bet-David, who's a great guy, I said, everyone's tired of cancellation and there's huge pressure behind the dam. And as soon as there's a crack in the dam, it's going to break. And the crack in the dam is going to be when somebody gets canceled and ends up bigger than they were before. And then nobody's going to be afraid of cancellation anymore. And everyone's going to start talking and they can't cancel everybody. I literally said those words. It happened to me exactly. And now even YouTube's allowing you to tell the truth about the vaccine, allowing you to tell the truth about election interference, because they simply couldn't ban every account.
Can't stop everyone.
You can't do it. We strengthen numbers. So I don't want to take absolute credit, but I've certainly been a huge part of it. So I'm going to do my best to wake up enough people so that if they cancel me again, the same thing happens. I'll find somewhere to go and I can bring enough people with me. And then once again, they damage themselves. You have to be To the Matrix, you have to be a poison pill. When you're a coward and you're afraid of retribution, you can't do much to damage a system which is so much more powerful than you. But if you're a poison pill, you can be. It's like being a poisonous toad. You don't stop them from eating you. They just suffer for doing it, right? I can't stop them canceling me, but it's going to damage their share price, and they're going to move a whole huge swath of the population to their competitor. I can't stop them putting me in jail, but I can show that the entire legal system's corrupt and it's all set up so nobody trusts the judges anymore. So you can eat me, but you'll pay a price. That's how you have to be. Now, if you're a coward and you're afraid of getting eaten, you can't do that. But if you're like, okay, you can eat me, but you're going to have a stomach ache. It's going to hurt. If you're that guy, you're okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not afraid of getting canceled because eventually if they delete me, everyone's going to say, the censorship's back, fuck this place today, and they're going to suffer. So it's fine.
There's this interesting take from Charlotte Fang, who's the founder of Milady, an NFT project. And the take is something along the lines of, it's an article. It's the cancel will inherit the earth. And it basically says that at a certain, there's like a threshold at a certain point, there's more influential, interesting, powerful people that are canceled than not.
100%.
So staying on the side of not canceled, you actually lose out because the other side is more powerful.
Yeah, it's nothing at all than all at once. And I really believe I was one of the first people who to get canceled, who got bigger than ever. And now a bunch of other people have been canceled and haven't even disappeared. And they can't even get rid of me from these platforms. I'm still all over them. I mean, what's the cancellation done to me?
Do any of these people like thank you, like other canceled people? Like, do you have like, is there like a
group chat?
The canceled, yeah, it's like a group chat for the canceled.
I'm also very careful who I talk to. Like, I don't
really?
I'm not too friendly with too many people.
Why is that? Publicly or at all?
I mean, publicly I can interact with somebody, but privately there's very few people I talk to because I don't know. That's a good question. Why do I not talk to many people? I have my mission. I'm Indiana Jones. I'm in the cave and I have the golden egg in front of me. I don't need to talk to people outside the cave. I'm busy.
But couldn't you like use some of these people to harness better ability to capture the golden eggs?
But I'm already there.
But you haven't grabbed it yet.
Not yet, but I'm inside the cave. They're far away.
You inside the cave. But there might be a booby trap right when you grab it.
Perhaps. Good thing I'm built different. Hard to kill.
You are hard to fucking kill.
That's right. So I'm fine. I'm ready.
All right, another question.
Fire.
So you've built potentially the strongest internet community in the world. And it's all, as you said, military-aged men who look at your content as a source of truth and as kind of like an antidote to all the nonsense that's out there. Having this internet community is a very powerful thing. I'm curious what you think in the long term as we move forward, as more people spend more time on the internet. Like, what is the impact of this community going to be on the world order?
Well, that's a really good question because when you inspire masculinity in men, they're naturally resistant to slavery, as we spoke about earlier. So I think that as more and more men follow me, it's going to be harder and harder for the Matrix itself to instigate and implement any of their bullshit slavery agendas, which they're coming up with in real time and trying to do right now. I know I've been detrimental to the world conquest plans of 2030. I know I have. So I have to be very careful with what I say, and I just try my very best to inspire bravery within men. I just want men to not be afraid of taking the brave choice anymore. That's all they have to do. That's all it takes for us to resist the global oppression which they're going to try and bestow upon us and the future generations. If that gets me killed, it gets me killed. I don't think I'll be here forever. But I think that a world with more masculinity in it is a better world. And I believe that because masculinity is designed to protect. And it's designed to do things which are bigger and greater than yourself and to not only live selfishly and hedonistically, to look at the world and say, this isn't about me. It's about my tribe, my culture, my religion, my country. This is about things I care about that aren't me. And I'm prepared to suffer for the good of them. That's why men suffer working bullshit jobs for their families. That's what men do. We're built to suffer. So I think inspiring that inside of young men is going to be a fantastic thing for the culture and society at large. I think that's the reason we're in the trouble we're in today. The reason they got away with the COVID scam is because not enough men were doing what I was doing, which was breaking the law because it was the law. Don't go outside. Going outside. Because I know this is a lie. Don't drive. Driving. Don't fly. Flying. If everyone was like me, it would have been over in a week. Everyone was scared. So we have to try and instill masculinity in men. And all the things I talk about, bravery, brotherhood, all these things are basically anti-oppression tools. If you have a bunch of brave men in a group, how are you going to make them do anything? You can't. The SWAT team's hard. They don't want to listen. That's what it takes to resist the slavery. Because I saw an interesting quote. Someone said something the other day. You have to know darkness. You have to know your own darkness to see darkness.
Ooh.
And it's completely true. And I think there's a lot of people out there who don't understand how evil the people in charge of the world actually are. And the reason I know that they're evil is because I know my own darkness, and I've seen all of the darkness of humanity throughout the different echelons I've climbed up. I've seen the darkness of those rooms of people sitting there planning to rob his Rolex. I've seen the darkness of sitting in rooms where they're planning murders and the guy gets stabbed. I've seen darkness of people trying to kill me myself. I've seen the darkness of a government locking me up knowing I've done nothing wrong. I've seen endless darkness. And you realize that the people in charge of the world have very little interest in you. They don't give a shit about what happens to anybody. They want power and they want control. And they don't do it for a financial gain. They do it for their ego. This is what's so interesting. We can tie back into what I was saying earlier, because you're asking me my motivations for doing things. If I were to say to you ego, you would say, nah. Why the fuck do you think they locked everyone in their house? You think it was for money? They print the money. They don't need money. They print it. It was so they could laugh. It's so Nancy Pelosi could go get a haircut while you had to stay in your house. And it was on video and she showed everyone. And they continued with the lockdown afterwards. Ha ha ha. It's so that you put a mask on to walk in the restaurant, take it off to eat, and put it on to go for a piss. It's so they can laugh at you. It's for their ego. And the reason I know it's for their ego, because I know why I do what I do, which is the same reason why Genghis Khan conquered fucking Vienna. Because any kind of person who gains that type of power is ego driven. So why did they enslave humanity? Because it was funny. And how do you stop them from enslaving humanity? Well, I can't do it by myself. Rambo doesn't exist. What did I say earlier? Teamwork, brotherhood. If enough men stand up and say no, they have a problem. If one man does, no matter how powerful he is, even if he's the top G, it doesn't work. And I can tell you that because my brother and I were trying and nobody fucking listened. But if we had more people, they would have. That's the reality. So I think the impact I'm going to have on the world is a good one. Because if you have men who are brave and who are not afraid, the only way you can convince them to do things is to show them that it is positive. It's a good thing for them, or a good thing for those they care about, or a good thing for their nation, or a good thing for their religion, or a good thing for their race, or a good thing for their creed. You can't force their compliance with fear, which is what they did with COVID. They didn't say, stay in your house for the good of the world. Well, they did, but they did it via fear. Be afraid. Someone's going to die, and for the good, you need to stay in. The old people will die. They used fear. But if you can't use fear to make men comply because they're not afraid, then you have to use other reasons. And you have to be far more honest, because fear is easy to invent. Fear is an emotion you can invent. They can say there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex outside. They can say Russia's about to nuke Bucharest. They can say there's a disease you can't see. They can say there's a terrorist downstairs right now in the lobby. Stay in your room. Fear you can just make up. You ain't even got to see anything.
Gotta see it.
They can just call and say there's a terrorist. Stay in your room. We'll all stay in our room. Fear they invent. But motivation and convincing a man that what you want him to do is going to be good has to at least make some degree of logical sense. It's a far harder sell. And that's why I believe reinstalling masculinity is going to be such a positive thing for Western society. I believe we're on our last chance. If we don't do it now, it's over. Because the robots are coming and the Western hegemony is falling and the American empire is collapsing. And you have Russia and China and these other countries which are teaming up, which are patriarchal still. We live in a gynocracy. We live in a society where women are in charge of everything because everyone's just chasing pussy all day and women just get to walk around and live free lives. And we're going to lose globally. And it's so interesting about these things because like feminists, they scream, smash the patriarchy, baby. You know, like I find these things amazing. I have nothing against Taylor Swift. I've never met her. But she has a song. And in one of her songs, she goes, fuck the patriarchy. And all the women inside the stadium are saying, fuck the patriarchy. Men built that stadium. Men built the stage she's standing on. Men made the guitar she's using. And men went to work to pay for their daughters to go listen to this shit. What kind of father is even letting his daughter go? If my daughter said, I want to go listen to someone say, fuck the patriarchy, I say, you better get a job. Because the patriarchy is about to fucking buy your ticket. Dummy. So this shows how weak men are. They're sending their own fucking offspring to be indoctrinated against them. Then they wonder why their daughter doesn't listen when they say, keep your legs closed, don't make it OnlyFans. And then she's turning around going, yeah, patriarchy. Fucking asleep clown world. But it's so amazing about the natural order of things under God's will because God has created society in a way where men and women are the perfect combination. We're two halves of a whole. But men are supposed to do the protection and provision, and women are supposed to do the nurturing and the reproduction. If you have a society like ours where that's inverted and men are not allowed to provide and protect anymore because that's toxic in some way, well, then you have a society that collapses and loses to the other patriarchal societies. So when China and Russia rule the world, guess what comes back? The patriarchy, just not our one. So you can't escape it. Yeah. So when these women are saying, fuck the patriarchy, you're saying, get rid of the warriors who will protect us from the other patriarchy. Good luck, you know? Have you ever seen that meme where it says what women think they'll do in the end, in the apocalypse? Actually, yeah. When there's like them with the bow and arrows and what they'll actually do and they're all on street corners? Bro, like men have a job to do. So we need to reinstall it or otherwise our civilization is over. And when I say these things which are provocative, like telling the white man, have some kids, hello, have some children. I know black brothers who have 11 kids with 7 women. You have no kids.
Is that positive?
I mean, that's another argument. Here's another very interesting argument. We could talk about it. Is that positive? Perhaps not. Who's going to raise them? Who's going to pay for them? The white man. Your taxes pay for them. So who's really the dummy? Him or you?
I guess that's fair.
Well, I mean, the white man is going to build a nation, build an empire, build Europe, build the cradle of civilization, then allow it to be invaded and pay for everyone invaders' kids. Well, who's the fucking dummy?
Who's the dummy?
Yeah. What the fuck? Try that over there. You go there and have a bunch of kids and tell them to pay for them. I mean, the power vacuums get filled. If I leave $1 million out on my doorstep and go to sleep, someone's going to rob me. Is it my fault or their fault? If I said to you, I got robbed for $1 million, you say, no way, what happened? I got $1 million cash, and I put it outside in the field, and I went to sleep, and someone stole it. You'd say, well, you wouldn't say, why did they steal it? You'd say, why did you put that there? Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing. So we can argue if that's a good thing or not. We can argue whether that's right or not. But guess who's right?
Might is right.
Who wins?
Yeah.
They're going to outpopulate you in your own country. Yeah. So who's right?
Yeah.
They are. And you're paying the bills, sir. Taxes are due. Pay them. So what do you want to say?
Yeah.
It's the reality.
I know you have to ask about the downfall of the West. Before
yeah. I mean, you just talk a lot about the downfall of the West.
It's over. It's over. None of you see. It's fucking, we're on a sinking ship. We're on the Titanic. Hello. The West is done. We're on the Titanic. It's done because the Taylor Swift songs, the patriarchy's gone. It's done.
Is Taylor Swift the reason the West isn't
of course not.
Free fall?
Taylor Swift signed contracts and got told to sing that song. Yeah. I don't know if she even believes her or not. Probably not. She goes out with a football player. I'm sure he's probably telling her what to do all the time. Make me a sandwich. She's probably fine. I don't know her. My point is, the reason the West is falling is because there's no patriarchal protection provision. That's why it's falling in real time. People always say, oh, there's no kids. Well, there's no kids because there's no marriage. Well, why don't men want to get married? Why the fuck would a man get married today? Men wanted to get married when they got a virgin who listened. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm telling you why men got married. Now they're saying, get married. Oh, you want me to go to Miami, find a girl who's been fucked by 35 dudes, then have a $10 million wedding for her to put on her Instagram. Is that what you want me to do? Do I look like a dickhead? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not fucking stupid. And then they're going to sit and go, oh, there's no marriage. Well, duh. Like, well, duh. So then there's no kids. Duh. And then the only way to do it is have kids out of wedlock, and then who pays for them?
That's crazy.
Okay.
Get to work, sir. You got bills to pay.
This is fucking trying here.
The question is like, okay, given the fact that the West is falling, Michael and I, we're both living in Los Angeles right now. We live in...
Unlucky.
We live in the United States. There's all these indicators like education is going down the hill, like obesity rates are up, crime rates, inflation, etc. All the indicators to measure a country's success. It shows the United States is going downhill.
Yeah, it's fucked. Yeah.
Okay, so tactically speaking, like what should we do? Like we're cognizant of the fact that we're living in a declining empire. What does one do to make sure they don't get wrecked by the collapse?
Well, it's an interesting question. Darwin, in his book, when he was trying to explain evolution, said, it is not the strongest or the quickest animal which survives, it's the most adaptable to change, which is one avenue. So you have two basic paths. We can think about this linearly. If we accept the problem that you've just said is a matter of fact, which I believe it is, you have two paths. You can either try and fix the problem or run away from the problem. You can run away from the problem by moving geographical location. You can simply move. And then you can say, well, I'm going to raise my family here in this society, which I believe is better. The hard part then is then finding a society which you believe is better because there's no light without dark. I moved to Romania because it's the most Christian country in the world. It's 99.5% Christian when I moved here. It's also a very safe society. There's very little street crime. Very little. It's very religious. It's very little. There's none of this feminist gay shit. Very little of it here. But there's no light without dark. The dark is it's a smaller nation and it's corrupt and you can get thrown in jail for no reason, as I've learned. So you have to take the rough with the smooth. The alternative is to try and fix the problem. Well, you can try and fix the problem via influence, which I guess what you're doing now. You have a degree of influence. That's why you're on this podcast. But that's why influence is so important. But then you have to be prepared to put a target on your back. Because every single war is a war for influence. We are currently in a war in the West right now. We're in World War III because they're trying to psyop everybody so heavily and constantly into being cowards because they intend on enslaving us all. So they need to make us all cowards first. What you do before you control a population is remove the warriors. You used to turn up and kill all the army and kill all the military-age males and then make them slaves. Now they can't kill us, so they just try and cut all our balls off via psyops. Psyop us all into being cowards and being scared of having a target on our heads so they can come along and enslave us all. That's what they're currently trying to do. So you have to use your influence to fight because every single war is a war for influence. Why did Putin send tanks into Ukraine? So that he can control the territory and tell people what currency to use, what language to speak, and what news outlets to listen to. It's a battle for influence, as is the current battles we're in right now. So me doing what I'm doing, I'm a combatant in World War III. You can be that too. You can sit there and try and convince people to do the right thing. And you have to do that by leading by example. And then you have to have as many children as possible and raise them to do the right thing. That's the best you can do. Will it save society? I don't know. Will there be karmic retribution for it? Probably. And then if you want to be really smart, you can do both. You can stay inside of LA. You can try and say the right things. You can not sell your soul. You can make sure everything you're saying is responsible. You can make sure that any power you gain is being used in a responsible way, as I am. The same reason I didn't tell people to buy Pancake Swap. You can think about these things in advance. You can try and have a family. You can try and raise them responsibly. You can try your very best to install masculinity back inside of the society. And at the same time, you can also have a backup plan and a house somewhere else. And if it all goes wrong, you get in a jet and bounce.
Makes sense.
On the influence thing, I have this take, and it's something along the lines of like, influencers are modern day gladiators, basically in like the ultimate power struggle for influence, as it's like the most valuable element you could have in the internet age. Like, what is sort of your general take on like social media influencers and this like PvP battle for whoever holds more influences?
The thing is this though, I would argue I'm one of the only influencers, if not the only one.
Interesting.
Because you have people who can get attention, but attention isn't influence. And the crypto coins of celebrities have recently proved that.
For sure.
They have attention. People know who they are.
They can't convert it.
But they can't convert it into influence. People don't trust them.
Yeah.
I could say right now what political party to vote for and affect it by tens of millions of votes. That's influence. There's a whole bunch of streamers that people watch, but nobody gives a shit what they say. Nobody listens to them. That's the difference between having fans, genuine fans, and just followers. So we have to make sure that we're not conflating influence with attention, because there's a whole bunch of clowns that have attention.
It's valid.
And they're just clowns. And in fact, they're watched to be laughed at and to be mocked, as opposed to being watched to be respected. When you're an influencer, typically you're always going to be smaller than the people who are garnering attention. Typically, perhaps I'm an anomaly, but in general, you can have a small channel, but a lot of influence. You can have 50,000 followers, but who really believe.
They'll do whatever.
And they'll do whatever. That matters more than having millions watch you be a dickhead. So that's important. But I think strength is in numbers in all things. Like we said earlier, we said about how brotherhood and improving your network is very important. I'm saying these things and they're seen as controversial, whatever. But when everybody starts saying what I'm saying, we win. That's all it takes. It just takes everybody saying, no, men need to be men. Women need to be women, and we need to work together. We need to have families. We need to do what we're supposed to. Get the fucking, why are you wearing this? Why are you naked waving your dick in a kid's face? If you're gay, you can do that at home. You don't have to do that. And not be afraid to say it. But everybody's afraid. Down to back to basic tenets of masculinity, bravery, all the things I was talking about before. People are scared to tell full-grown men not to wave their dicks around kids because they're scared of getting canceled. They're scared. Well, I'm not. I think it's wrong. That's what I'm saying.
When you think about the Matrix, we can paint the Matrix as the enemy for the sake of argument. Are you thinking like it's like, you know, a bunch of puppeteers or puppet masters who get together in these meetings and like they orchestrate these things for their self-interest? Or is it like an emergent thing, a bunch of people in power with self-interest acting in ways that will benefit them? Or like, what do you envision when you think about the Matrix?
I think it's a combination of things. I think that both of those versions are true. I think you have people who are self-interested in various positions of power who is doing things that primarily benefit them. I think that certainly exists, who are taking the selfish choice as opposed to the choice of the nation. But also, as I've said, if I've been in rooms with people who are planning the demise of a man over a Rolex, it would be asinine for me not to believe that there's rooms where they're planning the demise of a man over something much larger than a Rolex. So I'm sure that there's groups of men who sit in rooms and plan the assassinations of X people and certain people and plan wars and plan which influencers to get rid of. Those things must happen. Of course they do. We know they do. We know there's war cabinets. We know these conversations happen.
Right.
But primarily the Matrix is a whole lot of people who are self-interested, working for a state. And the way the whole system is set up is actually quite interesting, because even if I take my personal experience of going to jail, we talk about the Matrix putting me in jail. Well, the man who raided my house said, sorry, I'm just doing my job. The man who put me in the car said, sorry, I'm just doing my job. The man who put me in jail, sorry, I just do my job. The guy who fed me the food, sorry, I'm just doing. Everyone knew I was innocent, but here I am. So the Matrix is also just a lot of people with bills to pay. The way the whole system's set up, it's difficult. None of them at any point could have saved me. And they all knew I did nothing wrong. So what can you do? This is the way the whole system works. It's extremely difficult to explain exactly what it is, but I think if I had to pin down exactly what the Matrix is, I would choose the media, because the only way they get away with what they get away with is keeping us ignorant. You talked about why you got the vaccine because you're ignorant. That's fine. People are out here working jobs because they don't know what money is. If the world knew what money was, it'd be over in a day. But they make this ultra complicated bullshit system, make it very difficult to explain, but I'll simplify it. They make it up. That's it. And they print it and they manipulate it and they lie. Same with the stock market. It's made up. It's a lie. They just manipulate it with algorithms. If people understand that, it all collapses. So they need the ignorance. And the ignorance is purported via the media. They keep everyone living in a dream. The reason I called it the Matrix instead of the swamp or the deep state or any of these other things, I chose the Matrix because in the movie The Matrix, you're living in a false version of reality in your mind so your body can be harnessed. That's exactly what's going on. You're going through the world thinking that everything you're supposed to believe in is worth believing in. You think the police will keep you safe and the doctors will keep you alive and the judge is fair and that you can own this home if you just work hard and try your best. And you believe this complete bullshit so they can harness your bodily energy so you'll continue to be a slave. If you understood how things actually worked, you wouldn't be doing any of the things you're doing. And then society collapses if everybody understands the truth, as I've talked about. But there's also a mass degree of uncomfortableness that comes from knowing the truth. I'd be far more comfortable if I believed the version of reality they want me to believe. Imagine me going to court now, believing that the judge was fair.
Damn.
Go. The judge is fair and I've done nothing wrong. Oh,
I'm good.
Where's the lawyer?
Yeah.
But when you're going to court going, would they really let some random with a law degree decide the largest legal case in this country, which was instigated by the deep state in America because I was too large online? Are they going to leave it up to some random person? No.
Probably not.
Of course not. People would cheat in a basketball game if there was no referee.
Damn. That's a pretty good take.
So it's very scary to understand the realities of the world. And that's why a lot of people are willfully ignorant. There are a lot of people, because they are cowards, which is why I talk about bravery all the time, which is why I was shouting earlier when you were talking about the target on my back, because I found it offensive, not because you deliberately tried to offend me, but I was trying to explain that I don't operate from that frame. Because if I operate from that frame, I wouldn't be doing any of the things I'm doing. The only reason I'm doing them is because I don't give a fuck, because you have to be brave, because if you're not brave, then you're going to be willfully ignorant in all things, because it's easy to accept the lies. It's hard to sit there and say, no, none of this is real. Then you have to take absolute self-accountability. Then you got to look in the mirror and go, okay, I can't rely on anything. I can't rely on the police. I can't rely on the judge. I can't rely on the legal system. I can't rely on the doctors. I can't rely on, what do I do now? Then it's scary. And unless you have the motivation to then go out there and build an empire yourself, you'd rather just believe the bullshit. And that's what most people do. That it's like, it'll be okay, and just believe the garbage and go cast their vote and be a dumbass.
When you eventually die, do you think you'll be assassinated?
I'm no longer public enemy number one. When I got locked up and put in jail, I was public enemy number one.
Who's public enemy number one right now?
There's people they want more than me now, which is good, because you don't have to be the fastest man. You just have to be faster than the slowest man when the bear is trying to eat you all. So there's other people they want to get now, which is good. I'm like number 3 or 4 on the list, which is fine. I like to believe they won't assassinate me. I think I'd just get a long jail stretch instead. I think I'll do 20 years or something. When I eventually die, I don't know. But I'll have enough children so that I'll live forever.
I like that take.
Yeah, but that's what life's for, right? And this is another thing we talk about, and I'll keep saying controversial things because fuck it. But this is another thing we talk about. I was talking to one of my friends, and he's a white guy, and he saw my tweet, and me and him were discussing it back and forth. And he said what you said. Is it good that you black guys just have kids with all these women? And I said, well, perhaps not. But Your biological legacy is being limited by the whims of one female because you've had one kid with a woman she doesn't want anymore, and she won't let you have kids with anyone else because she'll cry. Boo, boo, boo. Her tears matter more than your biological legacy. Boo hoo, because you're a little pussy. So you're going to let some woman and her crybaby tears, the woman who wants Instagram likes and for you to buy her nice cars, control your biological legacy into eternity, and she's not even going to give you more kids. So you're stuck here with one. What's better, that or having a bunch of baby mamas? Well, I know which one I'd rather have on my deathbed. I'd rather have my 6, 7, 8, 9 sons come to me. I don't care which mothers they come from. And they all come to me and say, yes, sir. What is it going to take, sir? I've got your back. That's what I'd prefer. As opposed to one woman who goes, well, I didn't want to get pregnant again and you're not allowed to cheat. Me, me, boo, 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 boo. So the white man's going to be controlled by women because you live in a gynocracy. Then you're going to be extinct. You're going to be eliminated by the people that you invite into your country. Because Muhammad is having 11 kids with whoever he is on your dollar, sir. So you better do something about it. Or you can continue to raise an Islamic army to conquer your Christian nations. Whatever. But this is the bottom line of reality. It's how it works. Hitler wore shoes.
You love saying that.
Because you won't say it. It upsets you.
I said it.
Say, I wear shoes like Hitler.
I said it earlier.
No, say the whole
I said
thing.
it earlier.
Say it in one line.
I wear shoes. Hitler also wears shoes.
No, I wear shoes.
I wear
like
shoes.
Hitler.
Hitler also wears
You're
shoes.
a pussy, bro.
We got to wrap here in a minute, but do you have anything major you want to throw on?
I think we're good. I think we're pretty good.
What's your relationship with Aiden Ross right now?
I'm worried about him. He went to hospital, I heard. For
Yeah,
something.
what? There's rumors he's at the compound right now.
At my house?
Yeah.
Impossible.
You're hiding him.
You're hiding him is what I heard.
He's
training.
I don't know where he's gone. I've actually messaged him a few times. I don't know where he's gone. I like Aiden, but he's a perfect example. He is a perfect example of why you can't give people money early.
Really?
Well, look at him. He's a kid. He doesn't do any real work. He sits on streaming websites, fucking gambling, a dumbass. He keeps going on and off drugs and just being an idiot. Falling in love with whores, breaking up and going on and off drugs, getting fat, putting on loads of weight. Like he's too young to get rich. You can't give a kid a $50 million streaming contract. People consider me smart and wise. I appreciate that. But at 19, I was a dickhead.
Yeah.
Who isn't?
When did you
You're
stop?
a kid.
When did you stop becoming a dickhead?
Well, I don't know where to stop.
Some
But
people
the
argue
point
it's still going.
Yeah. When I'm 19, I couldn't have dealt with money. I wouldn't be the man I am today if I got rich at 19. Thank God I didn't. The best thing that can happen to you is you spend your 20s broke and you get rich in your early mid 30s. And then you can spend your 30s, 40s, 50s rich. You can still get a 19-year-old girlfriend at 49. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Girls love older men. It doesn't matter. So getting rich when you're young is the worst thing. Aiden's a perfect example of that. So I pray for him and I hope the best for him. And if it was up to me, well, you know what he needs.
Yeah.
What does he need?
I don't know what values, belief.
He needs to be grabbed by the throat.
Oh.
And he needs the shit kicked out of him.
Would you do it? Would you do it as a friend?
Of course. I care about Aiden. I would happily kick the living fuck out of him so that he learns the truth about the world.
You guys had some of the best streams.
But he'll learn the truth about the world. He'll learn that his money means nothing and his stupid kick followers mean nothing and drugs mean nothing means anything when I'm strangling him and he needs to go to the gym. In that exact moment, he'll realize and wish he wasn't so weak. He'll be trying with his little faggot mincy fingers and he'll think, why am I so weak? And perhaps he might do something about it. Because men learn through fear, right? That's how we learn. When you're scared and afraid is how you learn things. If you're so arrogant you feel no fear, like a lot of these young kids do, they don't learn anything. But if he was about to pass out, getting the shit kicked out of him, he'd probably train harder afterwards. So I care about Aiden and I'd happily kick the fuck out of him if that's what it took, yes.
One last question for the crypto community and then we can wrap. I think like with all these celebrities coming into the space, I know we've talked, you're kind of different. You've been here for a long time. You have different intentions. They're more pure. But one of the concerns of celebrities entering the space is they have all this stuff going on. They have like concerts and celebrity stuff and they're busy. And to be successful in crypto, it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of time, a lot of hard work. Like what is a day in the life of Andrew Tate now that you're becoming a crypto founder? Like how is it crypto in the morning? Is it like,
No, that's a good question.
Praying in the afternoon?
That's a good question. But to answer it, I'll say that I'm not an influencer with a business. I'm a businessman with influence.
Ooh.
So I've always been working 12-hour days.
I see.
Before crypto, I was working 12-hour days running the largest online educational platform on the planet. And before that, I was doing something else. So I've always been working. I do 12-hour work days. I'm not an artist who sings. I'm not an influencer who does stupid streams. I do emergency meetings, which are educational.
Yeah.
I produce videos, which are educational. And I work. And anybody who knows me or has been around me will say all he does is work. So I'm already been working. Now I'm just going to work on this. I've always been a worker. And then you can also tie back into people who have influence and people who have attention. And then you can also go into the third point, which I believe is Darwinian. There's a degree of what's the word I'm looking for? Darwinism. There's a degree of Darwinism with these things. If you're going to believe a rapper gives a shit about you or crypto or their project, you deserve to lose your money. I mean, if you're going to sit there and go, this rapper who can't string a sentence together gives a shit about crypto and me and wants to make me, well, then you, come on.
You'll be naturally selected.
Yeah, you can be naturally selected to lose your money.
Yeah.
But I don't think people believe that. People believe others will believe that, so I can get in and out before the others realize, and I can scam the other people. So they deserve again to lose because they're trying to scam other people. So it's all just a mess. I think anyone with a brain can sit there and think, well, if this famous person launches a coin, do they really give a shit about me or crypto? And then you have to sit there and analyze it yourself. There's Darwinism involved in it. And I don't feel sorry for any of these people. But yeah, there's in fact, one of the guys I'm working with on Daddy Coin, because Daddy's not my coin, so I just jumped on it. He even said that. He goes, I never imagined Andrew Tate to be online 19 hours a day. If I message you, you're awake. So yeah, I sleep 3 hours.
You respond fast.
I barely sleep.
My DMs.
I barely sleep because I can't. So it's easy for me. But
you're born for crypto.
No, I'm bored for work. I'm either training or working. That's all I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to relax. I don't want to sit on a beach. All that shit is boring. I want to conquer Vienna. I have to set it on fire. It's mine. I'm taking it. So even he was impressed. He's like, I've never seen anybody work like you, let alone someone as famous as you work. Most famous people just want to do a tweet and they're like, I'm done now. That's not who I am as a person. So for me, it's not an issue.
All right, here's the last thing I want to ask you, and we can wrap. Is we've talked about all the negative characteristics within like the average crypto community person, right? Like the vermin, the scum, they make money fast. They don't have any values. They don't have any skills. But one is sort of the reality is that that's the scene, that's the demographic. And two, you even said it yourself that you don't blame a lot of these people for believing there's no other way but to hyper gamble, hyper trade our way out of it.
Yep.
So my question to you, final wrap question is like, what is your advice to these people listening that are in this sort of rat race forever cycle?
Well, I would like for there to be a culture shift. And irregardless of whether I instigate the culture shift with my coin or not, let's imagine my project wasn't coming. I still think there should be a culture shift. I believe that crypto will be a better place if there's genuine accountability involved. If someone rug pulls or scams or recommends a scam or supports a celebrity who is scamming you ever once, everybody should tell that person to get fucked. And instead of trying to rob each other, which I said they're all trying to do on these scams, instead of just trying to self-profit and be a selfish little shit, if everybody held people accountable, it would fix the entire space. We said earlier today about politicians. The reason they get away with what they get away with is because they're no longer accountable to their constituents. That's the problem you have in the entire crypto space. All of your influencers aren't accountable because they keep getting away with scamming you. All the people with influence just scam, rug pull, support scams, say bad trades, and everyone just continues to follow them and believe in them. That's human nature, right? If I allow you to come and rob my store and do nothing about it, you're going to continue to rob my store. Of
course.
That's normal. If I leave my door open and allow you to rob my house and I don't do anything about it, you're going to rob my house. The problem with the crypto space is no one's holding anything accountable because everyone's so selfish. Everyone's so self-absorbed. They're thinking, well, I know this person's a scammer. I know this is a scam, but I can get in and out and make money and then everyone else will just lose, which is very short-sighted. And the karmic retribution of that is that you're now living inside of an industry and have an entire space built by and run by dickheads. When I did my crypto thing a month ago, I was sent a list of the crypto influencers and I spent perhaps 3 seconds.
Was that on the list?
No. I spent perhaps 3 seconds on each one's account. And I just knew they were all just dickheads. This is a loser.
But you chose to do Threadguy's podcast.
Loser. Yeah.
Because you identified something good in him.
Well, I don't even completely understand my own motivations. Remember, if you analyze the magic, it's lost. So here we are. It's fate. But all these crypto influencers are losers. And if you're going to sit there and go, oh, but this guy tweeted about it. Well, that guy's a fucking scamming loser. So, and he scammed you a bunch of times before. And now you care because it's some other well, then you're a dumbass. It's Darwinism. The problem with the whole space is that the whole space is built on bullshit and built on deception. I'm going to do my very best to fix it. And even if I don't, people should be ready for this shift anyway. People should be listening to what I say and say, irregardless of Tate's project, he's right. This needs to change anyway. Yeah. Irregardless of me and my project, this needs to change anyway.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
It's a fucking mess. And if you don't change it, the only other way you're going to ever have it fixed is regulation from government, and they're not much better. They're no better. So you need to have a high trust society. Let's look at Romania, right? We just talked about Romania. Why is Romania safe? Does it have more cops on the street? No. Does it have larger budgets for police? No. It's a poor country. Why is it safe? Because people together unified don't want it to be a shithole. So they're like, okay, well, this is a Christian nation. I said this story on many different podcasts, but it's true. I got on a taxi when I first moved here. I saw a girl walking through the park at 2 a.m. I said, in London, girls don't walk through the park at 2 a.m. And the guy said to me, but that's a Romanian girl. Romanian man wouldn't hurt a Romanian girl. That's what he said to me. And that blew my mind that they think that way. So the whole country is like, no, we're stuck together and we want it to be a certain way. That's how high trust societies work. They don't work with more police. They don't work with army everywhere. They don't work with cameras everywhere. There's a high trust society.
Right.
If you want crypto to work, you need to start holding these dickheads accountable for what they're doing, but they're not. I see tweets of crypto influencers scamming 2 days before and then tweeting a new ticker and everyone going buying. What do you expect? If you're going to let them rob you, you're going to get robbed.
Yeah.
Well, that's the game.
I mean, there are a fair amount of high integrity builders in the crypto space.
I'm sure there are.
And you were trying to be a new one, right, into the space. But there are, and if you believe in karmic retribution, then like as history plays itself out, you like to think that the people with good intentions in crypto will be the ones that win and take over the space, and that messaging will proliferate.
I hope so, but there's a lot of them primarily, from what I can see, in utility, much more than meme coins. Meme coins is a fucking mess.
Meme coins are a mess.
Yeah, meme coins
It's a cesspool. It's a cesspool.
Yeah, utility.
It's gambling. It's gambling.
It's gambling.
Yes.
Utility is a lot better. You're right. You're right. You're right. But why can't it be applied to the meme coin space? The same thing. There's a whole bunch of crypto influencers, and everyone knows what I'm talking about, who's just scamming everybody.
Yeah.
Before I click the red button on this podcast, is there any final things that you want to say to crypto, to the world, to me, to anybody listening?
What are you going to do with your money you've made?
I'm going to use it for good. I'm going to use it for good, Andrew Tate.
How do you use it for good?
I don't entirely know the answer to that question.
But if you improve yourself, then you improve the lives of everyone around you.
Yeah. And I will say this, though. You have a take where it's like, if you're a piece of shit, you make money, you're a bigger piece of shit. If you're a G, you get money, you become the top G.
Yeah.
I think one thing I can confidently say, and I've shown to myself through this, process, is that I have strong values, strong beliefs, and I stand by them. And as I've made money, I haven't made, top G money. I don't have 59 sports cards. I've stood by them. Good. And I think I can confidently look in the mirror and tell myself, like, you did a good job knowing you didn't switch up. You had an opportunity to sell out, to do this, do that. You didn't do it. And I think as I make money, as I level up, as I grow influence, as I grow a platform, I think the only goal is to stand by that. And then what comes out of it, the karmic retributions, are going to be positive.
Well, I think that one of the best things about being a man is that if you improve yourself as a man, you automatically improve the lives of everybody around you. You improve the life of your family and everyone who relies on you and everybody who cares about you and you care about. So improving yourself, self-improvement, improves society at large. Because I like you now, you're a friend of mine. I think next time we see each other, we should fight. And I think you should spend this time training. And we'll have an MMA fight. We can do it one of these crypto shows. We can fight. And you can prepare yourself, because if you prepare yourself between now and our next meeting, you're going to be a better version of yourself. Whether you win or lose at the end, it doesn't matter.
All right, since we're friends and you like me now, I have a request.
Sure.
I booked a one-way flight here. What are the chances I get training lessons with Andrew Tate before we leave?
I'm busy. Go train. Let me know when you're ready. And we'll fight. And we'll fight, and win or lose. If you try your very best to prepare between now and then, you'll be a better version of yourself.
And if we fight,
you have money, you have time, you can go to the gym.
If we fight, you'll come back on the podcast?
Sure.
Andrew Tate, thanks for the time, man.
No problem.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, sure. It was fun.
Thank you all so much for pulling up. Thank you all so much for supporting. I will catch you when I catch you. I'll see you when I see you. Have a great rest of your day. Love you, motherfuckers. Peace.